2, 1, go.
If you can hear the sound of my voice, then you are with me on LSD. Not the mind-altering substance that might allow you to further commune with your inner self or traverse the rift and learn about the world outside of you. No, you're on the channel. You're on the podcast, Lonely Screen Delicatessen. With me, as always, is my trusty partner, my sidekick, and my side chick. And I'm pretty sure for an Asian, he's got a giant dick. The Pinoy Boy Toy. There's not many 6'3" Asians out there. I got to give you your credit for your people.
My black wife is satisfied.
There, see that? You see that? The Pinoy Boy Toy himself, Mike Novolozo, Zozo, is here with me. And another friend that I'm happy to meet, Casey. Casey, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
We have been talking about a ton of stuff lately in the political world, and it seems like that's on so many people's mind now because I think our age group, this is something I was thinking about recently, our age group I think is only now becoming politically activated to the degree we are because of how outlandish shit has gotten. Like our generation is what Mike, you explained it to me, like we're the ones right after Gen X, we're the old millennials.
Well, we're the old millennials.
We're like the 80...
Casey's a little bit older than us.
So Casey, you'd be a Gen X guy.
Yeah. You're like Gen X, right? Like 70s.
Yeah, I was 79.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're only a little bit older than us, but like it's actually the same group that they're starting to like expand it. Yeah.
I think those generations, we grew up rebelling. We grew up not wanting to be a part of the system. Like I remember specifically in my 20s, kind of like waking up and being like when I really got serious with my fighting was like, oh man, nobody is here with me, like punking out still. Like I'm alone rebelling against the world. Like
I know that feeling.
Yeah, I've got my buddies like, oh, I've been working at Best Buy for like 8 years now, and it's like, oh, fuck. I thought we were gonna like burn it all down together, and then you have that awakening of maturity where it's like, okay, now I gotta figure some shit out. And I think our generation, we had a lot of that, and then this time period where a lot of kids who maybe grew up with more money or more access or whatever you want to call it, they were already politically awake because their schools were talking to them about that shit. Their teachers were talking, the indoctrination, like where you grew up, Mike.
Yeah.
And guys like me were out here like, okay, now I got to pay rent. Nobody taught me how to do that. I never learned how to fuck with a checkbook. I got immigrant parents. They didn't know that shit, so I had to figure that shit out on my own. And now at 35, as a father, as a homeowner, as a guy who's attempting to give it a go in the art world and the business world, now I'm like, okay, this shit kind of matters. It's around. It's here. And the minority on each side seems to be so fucking vocal.
Yeah. When
you find like everybody else is kind of just in the middle at some level.
Yeah.
Now it's like I see all my peers like looking into it and interested. And also, how the fuck was Eddie Bravo right about everything? Like, as it's like unraveling slowly. So
the pedophile stuff?
The pedophile stuff, the weirdness in government, all the secrecy, all the different. How come all the presidents who talked about secret groups got shot in the head? Like what? Like,
dude, I told you, like, I grew up with like my great grandfather telling me about that shit because he was like close with the Kennedys and shit. Like I told you, like my dad and his siblings, they all used to come out here to Peanut Island, like in the 70s and shit, in the 60s, with the Kennedys and like vacation out here with them. Like they were that tight. So my great grandfather, like in his last year of life, as he was like crazy senile, he would just start telling me shit, and I'm just like, this is some crazy, almost 100-year-old.
He's like
man.
cracking open shit, cracking open knowledge.
It goes way farther than hundreds of years. If you go back into history and start looking at where younger women were, even young like children were used.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go back to biblical times where they've talked about getting women at a very young age.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of upsets me too is, like, I think you and I have talked about this, Casey, is that like, it's still like that in like the Middle East, especially with Islam, and people are trying to normalize like the violence and the pedophilia of Islam.
We don't have to go that far. We don't have to go to Islam.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Jerry Lee Lewis,
people are trying.
13-year-old Elvis married a 14-year-old. You know what I mean?
We talked about this last time.
If you look into the songs in the 50s, young girl, get out of my life.
Yeah.
Young. It was way more accepted.
Itty Bitty Pretty One is one of the weirdest songs when you listen to the lyrics.
Itty Bitty Pretty One.
My hardcore band, we used to cover these songs. Dude, my hardcore band used to cover these songs like in the early 2000s, and people are like, dude, these are the sickest, most disgusting songs. Like, where did you get this last song? I'm like, it's a Beatles song. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, when I scream it and we play it like this, it's
terrifying.
It's a terrifying song about holding a woman against their will. Like,
yeah,
and stalking them and capturing them.
Led Zeppelin
it's fucking
girl
crazy.
With a shark?
Yeah,
isn't that a story? Like,
there's lots of weird shit.
We want to act like there's this awakening of like, oh, there's exploitation. And we've talked about this a bunch, Mike, where like Asians and Latinos have been called out for not coming down on police brutality in the way that the black community has openly like spoken out against it, and the white community, whatever, the American community.
Yeah.
But like, if you grew up in a Latin American country, or with people who grew up in Latin American countries or Asian countries, you're going to be like, yeah, the cops rob you and beat you up. That's what the fuck they do a lot
honestly,
of times.
just not America, Canada.
People who not
that's
Australia.
England. No, Australia, that fucking happens because, well, I mean, I don't know if it happens anymore because, like, I've only been there one time, and it was, like, 17 years ago. And, like, I was drinking with these kids that I had just met, and the cops came up and they're like, "Hey, if you want to go to jail, you know, don't give us money." And they're like, "Oh, we all got to give them some money." I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "This happened to me in Mexico." And they're like, "It happens here." And I'm like, "All right."
Hey, you're lucky that you can get off with paying the bribe in the very beginning.
Yeah,
here in America,
exactly.
You got to get arrested, then you get detained, then you
Yes.
get arrested,
And
then you're paying them money, a couple of bucks here, a lawyer gets paid, and then it's done and over with. And it took you a year and a half, 2 years, you know, minimum, and it still costs you the same. It costs you more.
And
Pay for that right up front.
Once your name goes on the paperwork, you're never really
Yeah,
free
you're in
because
there.
as soon as they run you and your name pops up, boop, they're going to treat you a certain way automatically.
I could give you tons of mysterious stories about, you know, I did my time, and you know, I was out of state on a pre-charge waiting and had to come back for a court date. And literally, when I passed the county line to get back into the court, I was pulled over. Now, how in the hell did they know that I was coming back into town
all of
or
a
out
sudden?
of town or any of this? I mean, and there was a huge FDLE charge against me before all that, and I got luckily out of it, or unluckily out of it, but it caught back up to me eventually, and you know, I served my time.
Was this Florida?
Oh yeah, Florida.
That's the old saying in Florida. So my grandfather came down in 1950.
Come down on vacation.
Come down on vacation.
Come back
leave
on
probation. Come back on violation, and stay for incarceration. That was the fucking saying. Because he would even tell me, he'd go, back in the day when he first came down, he used to tell me, because he came from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. So it was like, you got Jews on this corner, you got Irishmen over here, you got black guys down the road over here, you got Russians over here selling fish, you got the Guineas selling bread. Like, everybody was together but separate, right? And when he came down here, or down to Florida rather, he was like, oh, they're fucking real separate over here. It's different. Like, there's signs, don't let no Catholics, no Jews, no blacks on the beach. Like, and he was literally there for like the Liberty City Renaissance, where it was like the Southern Harlem at the time in Miami, and saw things morph and change, and people start to realize like, oh, you can't keep Jews off the beach now because they own a bunch of the buildings over there, and you can't keep Catholics out of here because they bought a bunch of churches out here and put a lot of money into the local government. And now
but there's been a lot of places that still held out. You've got places like the Everglades Club on Palm Beach.
Sure, all over.
Actually, we haven't talked about that on the show, the Everglades Club, right? Which is really weird. Like the Everglades Club and the Palm Beach and the Palm Beach Island Club, right? Like the two big ones, right? That's why.
Well, you have Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, that's why Trump built Mar-a-Lago, because they wouldn't let him in. And then he's like,
wasn't that the story that he's like, I got friends that are black billionaires and billionaires, and I want to let them into my club? Like that.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. And like the first like 40 people that joined Mar-a-Lago were all minorities, and like he's like, I want them to be on the beach next to all these racist people, which is, I think that's great. Like and that's kind of what upsets me. Like I'm not like super rah Trump, but I'm like calling him a racist when like he literally has like a track record of specifically specifically helping black people like get ahead a lot.
That's
like
the thing
individually
with all these politicians,
like
though. I don't think any of them are racist. I think they're all classist. I
think
for Trump,
some
if you
of them
Some, sure. Like,
That's
but it's like
mostly
any
the
other
Democrats.
demographic, right?
Yeah.
But it's like any other demographic, right? If you look at football players, there's going to be a percentage of them that's racist. There's going to be a percentage of them that hit their wives. Same with politicians. Same with cops. Same with butchers and milkmen. But I think the difference is, like Trump, it's easy to conflate his attitude for racism because
Of the
if you
people
don't
that
have,
like him.
well, and if you don't have money to talk to him about a real estate investment or a business deal,
Yeah.
he don't have time for you.
He's not interested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He really only
So it's
cares
easy
about
to
one
take
color.
that, right? And it's
and it's
easy to
green.
take that
Yeah.
kind
Green.
of personality and make that
Well,
a
it's
villain.
winning. It's winning. It's not
Winning.
even about the winning.
Yeah.
It's winning.
Right.
He
It's
doesn't
about
care
the
if you
thrill
have
of the
enough
win.
money.
About success,
Yeah.
not just his success, but everybody's success.
Right.
Listen, if he's winning, we are all winning.
Well, and he
Yeah.
wants to be tied to victory,
Yes.
right? It's
Sure,
like,
he
I don't
doesn't want.
understand-
He doesn't want to be tied. He doesn't want to not be tied to losing.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't want to be tied to losing.
Yes.
Right.
He just
And
doesn't
that's
want
what
to
I mean.
lose.
If I was in earnest a leftist, and I fucking fall to the center pretty hard. Mike confirmed this the other day talking
Yeah.
to me about it, where you were saying like, I thought for a long time I was on the left, and then when all the insanity, I thought, okay, actually maybe I'm on the right, and then I realized like, no man, I'm like really hard down the middle a lot of ways, and these conversations have kind of helped me understand that. And like I said, becoming like more politically aware over the last like couple of years. But what I'm starting to see,
Where I'm at, a little more politically getting involved. Well, before I never cared to vote. Right?
yes, yes,
I wasn't running a legitimate operation, so why would I
Yeah.
vote legitimately? I like to
Yeah.
complain. If I vote for somebody and they don't win, I can't complain.
Yeah.
So therefore, if I don't vote at all, I can complain about everybody who's there.
right?
So,
Yeah.
and I wasn't doing anything legit, so I didn't really need to be able to be involved in politics, except for if I needed to pay off the mayor to get something as a better bid for a contract.
Right.
So in that aspect, it's a little bit different.
Well, and I think that's what happens, right? Like we get to this point in our lives that
It means something.
it starts to matter to you for
Right.
one reason or another.
So this is going to be my first year voting. I got my voting rights back.
Right on.
so-
Congrats.
To me,
Yeah,
this is a
congratulations.
huge step. I also have legitimate business, legitimate operations.
Yeah.
So everything is by
You're
the
a
book.
part of the American system. You've become an active, functional, positive, productive part of the American system.
Correct.
Yes.
Which is literally like, so you talked about like having experiences where you had to deal with, like we talked about like the Florida incarceration, probation, vacation thing. Like
Sure.
you deal with
And I
that
went
shit,
through it.
but you're literally like, see, when I meet somebody like you, I find it to be so special because you are literally living the American dream in that, like the American dream to me isn't the like,
Opportunity. It's opportunity.
and it's
Yeah.
opportunity to fail
You
and then
have
come back
the
and succeed.
Opportunity
Yeah.
to be able to do it. Now, if your skin color gives you a harder opportunity, then you have to work harder.
Right.
Yeah.
It is never going to be easy.
I think
And-
that's the thing that confuses a lot
But
of
you
people.
have the opportunity and
Yes.
be grateful
Yes.
for that.
I think that confuses.
Well, that's like,
what
Go ahead,
like on both sides of the like we talked about this last time, like the white privilege thing. I think
Yes.
that's what's confusing for a lot of people on both sides, and I'm glad you pretty much nailed it, Casey. It's like the people on the side that are like, yes, white privilege is the only reason people are successful. Like they don't realize, like you said, it doesn't matter your skin color, you're gonna have to work. And then the people that are like, no, white privilege is bullshit. They don't understand, like what you said. Sometimes because
No,
of your
but
skin
so
color,
what they're-
you might have to work harder. That's like either way though,
Sure, but
you have to work.
That's still
You have to
being
work.
a completely racist statement.
Yeah.
Because yes, as being white, I may not have had certain influences of bad things that may have happened to me, or reasons I didn't get jobs or certain things because of the color of my skin.
sure.
But I've also been Jewish and been taken out of situations because of my belief. So there are going to be things that hold everybody down.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we were
Like,
talking
you
about the
said it-
privilege thing.
The best last time. As like a Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah, it's
Literally,
like different
yeah,
classes
you
in a
pick-
video game.
yeah.
You have different powers, you have different abilities. Like you said, it's like hitting a random at the select screen. You
Yeah.
don't get to choose your powers; they're just given to you, like me. Okay, like
Exactly.
when we talk about privilege, this was something I was thinking about recently. What about linguistic privilege, right? I didn't know the word basil until I was like a 30-year-old man because I grew up with Guinea grandparents that raised me. and it's always been Bazinigol. And to me, I don't know, a colander, a strainer.
Yeah.
Until I was in culinary school, I didn't know what the fuck that was because it was always a scolabas. Okay? So
Sure.
for me, maybe that's something that when somebody was like, oh yeah, you have to do this one thing. And I'm like, you're talking about a juguete, that fucking, and then maybe they can't relate.
Wait.
Maybe that creates either a privilege or, depending on where I am. When I was in Texas, I don't think it was a privilege. But living in Miami, it was, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it's what level are you on and what superpowers are good for that level?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it comes down to.
If you want to adapt and learn, then that's what you do. You find out, wow, there's different names for this in the environment in which I need it to be known
Yes.
for, and I'm going to learn that.
Yeah.
Well, and
It's
it's like we talked
Make a
about.
difference what color your skin is.
Yeah.
When we talked about like having an understanding based on travel, like about how a lot of teachers used to be these people who studied a field, went out into the world and applied that field of study, and then came back and in their retirement years taught it, right? And now you've got people who are lifelong teachers who just don't do shit, they just teach. And we've gone from Indiana Jones being your teacher to like somebody named fucking, you know,
Wait, what I say?
who
A
never,
teacher-
who never
a guy-
left the university. That
A
they
guy
fucking
with
went
your
to.
daughter's name being the teacher
Yeah,
that's
a guy-
2
a
years
guy named
older
Bell.
than the kids that he's teaching.
Yeah, exactly. And he
Yeah.
and he got his education at that school,
You know?
and then stayed there to teach at that school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where what I see over and over again is the bigotry of life comes from like a lack of socialization, not really
Yeah.
a hatred. It comes from like a misunderstanding. Like anybody who's done any traveling can tell you that if you try to like learn somebody else's language or custom or culture, they get fucking really happy most of the time.
Yeah.
Like only in America have I fucked up somebody's like words or things like that, and have they gotten mad at me?
Yeah.
When I'm in other places and you try and say a thing
Yeah,
that you
they're
know
like-
you're trying to say,
They're like,
they're like,
"Oh."
oh, you're trying my
Yeah.
shit. I like it, fucker.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole. Like man, I remember asking for fucking gyoza to these little Chinese ladies, those little fucking pan-fried dumplings.
Yeah.
And she was laughing her ass
Oh,
off, and then she like hugged me and shit. She's like, I never heard anybody say it like that. Like, and
Yeah.
so just like that little bit of socialization, I find the people who are the most vocal and avid about speech and all that kind of shit are people who like, where's your friend group? Are they all white kids who hang out on the
They
app?
are,
Because
yeah.
that's what the fuck I see. Like,
So friends are tough, but I try to associate myself with people who I'd like to be around or be like.
yes.
You know, so if I want to strive for greatness of what I want to be, I find to try to be around those people. You know, sometimes
Absolutely.
I find it bad I don't like them.
Well, it's like this, right?
That may not be what I want to be around.
But
But,
you,
you
get,
know,
you get your friend group, and then you start to like whittle away, and you realize, okay, I want to be around people who are never going to put me in a fucked up situation, and people who are going to react well if we ever collectively get put into a fucked up situation, and at the same time aren't going to be the catalyst for that fucked up situation. And I don't mean being like tough. I don't mean being.
but it changes. It's going to change throughout your entire
You're right,
life.
you're
So
right.
all
Yeah.
that
You're
stuff
absolutely
means
right.
absolutely nothing because the
Yeah.
friends that I used to have with were the ones I had to change. Otherwise, I was going to be sitting back in
Yeah.
death or death row. So
See, we
you know,
actually.
and there was one of the comedians I was just watching again. Can't think of him now, but he was saying the same thing. When he was single, he hung out with a completely different crowd of people. He's married now, completely different crowd
Yeah.
of people.
It's
So
true.
you hang out with
Your
a different-
friend group
you know, you
adjusts
got-
your needs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like that one.
See,
Yeah,
I-
absolutely.
another reason I think you get along with Casey, Andrew, is like Casey's always hustling too, and like
Oh my God, you don't even want to hear the
Always.
things I got going on
Yeah, that's
now.
what I'm
I
saying.
am dying right now trying to get in touch with big box locations because I have a UV light, a UVC LED light that goes on keypads.
oh
Oh,
nice.
no
right?
shit. That's
Touch
dope.
the-
Oh yeah.
It kills
Yeah.
99% of germs in 30 seconds. And in between people that are going in to use keypads, because every keypad is touched by every person and not
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about putting signs up in your stores and making aisles one
plexiglass
way
and
and
shit.
putting plexiglass up, but yet you're not taking care of the CDC guidelines of washing down surfaces that need to be touched, that are most frequently
It's
touched.
true,
often.
dude. Every time I go
And
into
they're not
Publix, I
doing
pay
it.
with my card. I gotta hit the
I
keypad.
have been on the phone for hours with Home Depot, Lowe's,
Dude,
Aldi's,
I saw
public,
you.
Listen,
trying to get
hold on,
phone
hold on.
numbers.
I don't want to
getting
cut you
in touch-
off. Listen.
You got
You
it.
just said it. I can't say the company that you just said. I'm not going to say which one you said that I'm whatever. Get my information from Mike.
Yeah.
Mhm.
After
Okay.
that, we'll do after the podcast.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah,
can link
yeah.
up, yeah.
Say,
But
look,
the
don't even
trouble
say,
with-
don't
I'm
even
going
say
to.
anything else about that thing.
Yeah.
Don't even say
Okay.
anything else
Yeah.
about that thing. I got a
Like-
contact. Like,
All
don't
right.
even say shit else about that thing.
Yeah, man. And, like, this
But
is...
that's tremendous.
Yeah.
That's again.
He
that's
put
what I'm
this up
talking
on his
about.
Facebook.
Huge
Yeah.
The American dream
Right.
in action.
action.
Okay.
American
In
made,
action.
right
And
here in West
I
Palm
know some
Beach.
people. I know some
created
people who I can put
and
you with.
unbelievable.
Well, and that's the
You
thing.
put it up on your
Test studies
Facebook.
and everything.
You
That's-
put it up
I-
on your
and
Facebook.
Do you have a patent
Yeah.
yet?
Yes, it's patented because you know why? This was engineered and designed prior to COVID. This was just something that we designed thinking, wow, it'd be great to get this done, but nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody had any interest
now-
in killing germs.
I got a
But-
contact
so
for you.
you
I
came
got
up-
I got a
And
contact
now-
for you.
Now we're pushing it like crazy, and I'm
Don't
a
even,
marketer.
don't even
I'm
bother
supposed
pushing
to-
it anymore. I
Yeah.
got a contact for you.
This
I got-
might be-
I have.
I've got contacts. I got Saks Fifth Avenue. I
No,
got
no, no,
Gardens
no,
Road.
no, no, no.
I've got
No,
all
no,
these
no,
places
I'm
as
telling
well.
you.
No,
We'll
no,
talk,
no,
we'll
no.
talk.
It'll be
We'll
good.
talk.
It'll be really good. This might be like your like
talk more.
your
It was
your
good
your
for
big
all.
deal.
Dude, yeah, serendipity, man.
Dude,
You know
this
what I
might
mean?
be your big deal. See, I'm
Serendipity
telling you,
for
dude.
sure.
See, I feel like because this is how I knew Casey was always trying to like hustle and always trying to make money. Was it your garlic
You
butter?
don't want to know how it is in the store, man. They
But-
hold me back so bad.
But your
They hold me
garlic butter, remember?
Oh,
Around
I love my
Christmas.
garlic butter,
Dude,
man. I got a
I was
garden
just
now.
like-
I'm gonna start learning to grow my own garlic so
Oh,
I can
hell
do
yeah,
this.
man.
That's my
Awesome.
thing.
Dude,
That's
remember
tremendous.
when you were like, I've got garlic butter? I was like, excuse me? Like, what is this? I fucking love garlic. I will buy it. And everybody's like, have you had it before? I'm like, I don't care. I will buy it from him right now. Like, it's
Looked up a batch, brought
Dude,
it in.
yeah.
One of the guys that I sold to, I
Mhm.
still do work on his house, like
Nice.
on a weekly basis. I go by. He's on Palm
That's
Beach,
tremendous.
Nice.
on the island. Great dude. He bought a couple jars from me. You know,
But that's the thing. Like, everybody can do their own like
own
thing in America.
And hustle.
Yes.
And it
make
really
as hard as
upsets
they wanna
me.
Put it in.
Yeah,
I have hundreds of them, dude. Hundreds of
I'm
these.
saying.
ideas.
that's what I'm
Great.
saying. But
It's
and
not what you know; it's who you know.
Exactly.
You don't have to
That's
have
big.
the college education and anything to get through with everything.
exactly.
You gotta
And
have
when
the right
people,
mindset and know a couple of people
Mhm.
and work for your dream. Put your crap into you, man.
yes, when people
Invest in
say
yourself.
America sucks, I'm like,
I got another one. I just got into the garage just the other day, dude. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna
Nice.
be huge, man.
that's what I'm
So
talking
simple.
about. You
I
like
love this
that's when Andrew says like you're the American dream, man. It really pisses
Yeah.
me off when people are like America sucks. I'm like,
Overnight
how?
millionaire.
So I was
Like,
driving
how?
through.
How does
I
it
was
suck
driving through Roswell.
when anybody can have those ideas like you and meet somebody like Andrew and potentially, like you said, like
Make a
overnight,
deal.
yeah,
That's
make a
it.
deal like that.
And
I was driving
You may
through
keep it, you may
Roswell.
lose it. Guess what? It comes back. You know, it may be a good year this year and maybe not so good next.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, and it's like anything else, right?
But it's
If you
about
want to
hitting
be a
that.
self-starter, if you want to create your own
Right.
thing, you're going to have lean times. Like you can't not. And I've never been super successful at anything, right? I've had my marginal spikes and whatever in life. But what I got to see along the way is people who have been super successful, and those people don't sleep. Like those people are obsessive. Those people neglect shit of their own lives and of their families or whatever because
Right.
they are driven as fuck. So you
One-
gotta,
one of my-
like I'm a
one of my
devoted
boys-
dad. I've been a stay-at-home dad for the last 5 years. Like my wife and I made a decision because I'm a musician and an artist and shit that, you know, working in a kitchen, which is what I did, didn't make as much as what she does. And we decided that it would be beneficial for our daughter, for one of us to stay home. We have that situation, we have that ability. So I did it. And fuck, it's been hard to not become resentful towards my family to a certain degree because I want to do so much, right? Prior to my daughter being born, I would work like
Sure.
security job, work a door at a bar, be in a band, be creating visual art, and do all that constantly, like round the clock. So it's like, and then on top of that, I'd be like training people to box, or I'd be running somebody's jiu-jitsu camp or whatever. Like so, and even for a little while, I had a gym. Like you don't ever like want to stop the momentum. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, you
it's
can't.
So,
You
it's
gotta stay
so
busy,
hard.
man.
But,
Yeah.
but once you hit a speed bump, it's so easy to derail if you're not
Yes.
careful. So a
And
guy
then
like
slow
you,
down.
to me, is a special person because if you can maintain that stride through hardship and maintain that passion, that's the difference between somebody who stays to the finish and somebody who falls off halfway through the race.
Yeah.
And that's an important distinction to make. That to me is the utmost American value that you could possibly have, and that is the truth of the American dream. In that, I have a couple of cousins who come from different countries. My wife's cousins, my cousins.
It's hard to come to that area until you ended up losing it all. And
Well, what you are as a
very
born American is more rare nowadays. And maybe what experiences you've had in the negative helped sow the seeds of positivity in who you are as a person now. Because
absolutely, of course it did.
Mike and I have talked about this all the time. Kids who are born outside of this country and then come here young, or have like parents and grandparents from the third world, or just have more of a connection with like it not being so fucking good, they fucking bang and hustle. Like they fucking hustle. And people who grew up in this country, who grew up hard,
I'm gonna make a thing that's make a statement that I feel like is slowly becoming not true. I feel like Jewish people do it right. Like you have to go to Israel when you're younger, right?
A lot of cases, yeah.
Yeah, I went.
Yeah, like you get to see that like America's not.
So there was something that was instilled upon me that I feel was, a monetary value, how to handle some money, kind of how to put some things into perspective. I was very grateful. My mom, was a teacher and, was able to get into learning business and, getting into putting away money. And, I was taught a savings account as a kid and, IRA, which was more about.
Spics don't teach that shit at all.
Yeah.
We teach recipes.
I was working in a kitchen. I was a busboy in a kitchen, and the brother-in-law of the owner was in helping out on a busy night, and he was an investor. And he says, "Hey, why don't you start an IRA?" And I'm like, "Oh, what?" He goes, "Just give me a couple of bucks out of your check every month." And I said, "Okay, sure," because he was a financial planner. That's what he did. So I started it at 17, 16, I think I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just gave him some money out of it. I didn't know what it was for. And, of course, after a while, you learn a lot more about how to invest, and what your money is supposed to do is make you more money.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to work a little bit
See,
less.
my wife,
a little bit of incomes.
My wife, there's just a cultural variance. Again, it goes to like the privilege thing of like where if you grow up in a certain place in a certain way, you're going to have certain skills or values instilled into you. And like
absolutely, you have to.
In my family, it was like you can't stop, and also you have to be tough. You have to be durable. You have to be like ready to weather or whatever. And with my wife, I saw a difference. Like, and again, each generation does it differently, whatever. But she was close to her grandparents, and they were like old school Russian Jews. And her dad was a Moroccan Jew, came from Israel, and started with nothing. Yeah. And my wife is a fucking grinder. If she gets her mind on some shit of like, oh, we want to get a second house, I know I'm going to be looking at some houses in like a year because she put her mind on it, and that's it. Like, so it's one of those things where again, of the Cuban side of my family,
you plan to make sure that it happens, and then you have it set up in necessity so that it does, and hopefully you're figuring out that second house is going to bring you another income.
Yes, well, that's why celebration of our different cultures is so important, I think, because we can learn so much shit from each other. You know what I mean? As far as like how to do, like nobody has fun like my people. Nobody has no 2-year-old's birthday party is like a Latin person's 2-year-old.
No, I mean that's true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The only people who can.
My daughter will randomly come up to some of them in a park, and she's just involved with.
Bro,
yes, and they love her and they welcome her.
Indians
and it's
are the only people who can fuck with Latinos throwing a party. Indians are the only. Yeah.
I mean, no, yeah.
They throw a party, bro.
Oh,
they throw a party.
My buddy's wife is like Islander Indian.
Indians are Asian Latinos,
like,
I think.
Dude, well, I mean
they get
Filipinos.
Down. Well, Filipinos are Asian Latinos.
Literally.
Literally.
But no, dude, we went to like their like engagement party or whatever that they threw out in Jupiter, and we went to that little like, not where the beach is, but where the lagoon is behind there.
Yeah.
Where it's like got the natural lazy river that's 75% human feces.
Little shit spring.
Every year they come out with a test that shows how much feces is in that.
So
anyway,
a lot of poop in there, guys.
A lot of poop, yeah. But
like
we took over. They took over this little spot in the trees where there wasn't like that wasn't a spot to party. Like they're just like, oh, all the picnic benches are full. So like, and this is shade. So like, we were just in there, and like when my friend and his wife walked me in there, I was like, damn, like this looks a little shady. And then like when we got in there, it's just a bunch of like West Indians just drinking and having a great time. It was.
Yeah.
I felt like I was walking into like a Cuban
I think
backyard.
you'll find though in every culture that they
Yeah.
congregate, get together, and have a good
Yeah.
time.
They just do it differently. They
But
do their own
Common
style.
ground for every single
I
culture.
will say though, like I've gone all over the nation and all over the world, and I've literally just said yes to everybody when they're like, "Hey man, do you want to come party?" I have never felt
Sweat.
safer and had a better time than with Indians, but Cubans number one, and then Filipinos just because they're my people. But like Cubans, I've never had a Cuban guy like come up to me like, "Hey, there's a real party over here. You want to come with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I've never had a bad time or felt like I was in danger. Like
Yeah.
other times, like other cultures,
We like to party. We like hospitality.
yeah, but I never felt like somebody was looking at me like, "What the fuck is that guy doing here?" Same with like the Indians and obviously Filipinos because like they know me. But like other cultures I've been around, I was like I'm like
You
some
may not have
people
put
are
yourself in enough sketchy
Yeah,
positions.
yeah, I'm like,
Well, some cultures.
Am
I've
I
been
gonna
in
make it
a lot of
out?
sketchy positions.
right? Am I gonna
So-
make it out? These people don't like me just because I don't look like them. I mean, I'm here with the person that took me here, but like now that
That doesn't
everybody
mean
else,
anything
yeah,
when it
that
goes
doesn't.
away into another door.
Yes,
But
yes.
some cultures that are a little less warm naturally or whatever, they sometimes can feel a little more rewarding when you're brought in.
When you get their
Yeah.
trust, yeah.
Yeah. So like my wife's family is like the Middle Eastern Jew side, like the Moroccan Jews are still in Israel, a lot of them, and you know they weren't super psyched about her marrying a dude who was raised. Because I'm not religious by any means, but I was raised Catholic. I'm Cuban and Italian. I'm by no means
That's
Jewish.
like as Catholic as you can Catholic.
Yeah, it's real hard popery up in this bitch. And so that was like a thing, I guess. But then like I got to meet some of her younger cousins, and one in particular, like I love the kid. Like I wish he's like one of those kids where I was like, can I adopt you? Like, can we do that? Can I give you one of my shitty siblings and I'll take you? Like, and so once I had a nice relationship with him, his mom at this point now is like the matriarch of that side of the family or whatever, and that's her baby, and he loves me and she loves him. So it's like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
now I'm like in, you know what I mean? And he says to me, you know, Andrew, I never meet a person like you come from Christian who is nicer to me than the Jewish I meet in this country. And I'm like, bro, I don't think about that shit. Like, you like to eat a good steak. I like to eat a good steak. You want to watch a fight together? We're both nice. Let's just be nice.
Yeah.
And he was, because he grew up in Israel, all around only Jewish people.
Oh, yeah.
And when he came here, I think I
rough,
was, you know,
I bet.
it's culture shock. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not homogenous here. But I mean, look, I've told this story on every podcast I think you talked about, Texas Jeff.
Yes.
But I've had a friend
He
who
hasn't
was
told
from
this
Texas.
story twice. What?
I had a friend who was
Once
from Texas
now,
who
I
came to my wedding, and when we got off the plane, we went to hang out with some buddies and smoke a joint. In the circle, he was just like flabbergasted because it was like a Jamaican guy, a Filipino guy, half Chinese, half Cuban guy, a Bahamian guy. You know, my stepbrother who's a white guy, classic Florida white boy. So not everybody gets that, I guess, is what it comes down to. I don't realize that being where I'm from, I'm like spoiled. I never understand racial tension or whatever because it's always like, oh, the Jamaicans make awesome beef patties. The
There's
Bahamians
only
make really
one
good
way
soup.
to get rid of racism, and that's to get rid of the word.
Yeah. Well, have everybody come live in Florida for a year.
That's it. Get
Honestly.
rid of the word.
No,
That's it.
honestly,
Not-
Just to let it go.
None.
no,
Let it go.
yeah, and I
It's
think,
not. It's
and
not. It's
I
not.
think
Just
the
let it go.
best way to have everybody get rid of that word is to honestly just have everybody like the way
Mm-hmm.
in Israel you have to go be in the army for a year.
God now for 2 years.
Yeah, the 2
You
years.
got the God now.
There you
Sure.
go. Yeah,
I
you have
2
to-
years for
I-
women and 3 years for men, I
yeah,
believe.
you have to go
This
live
is
in
mandatory
South
2
Florida.
years for citizens.
You have to go live in South Florida for 2 years, and then you get to go back home. That should be mandatory for America.
At least one hurricane.
yeah, one hurricane
Yeah.
exactly.
One
Right?
hurricane, whichever comes first.
Yeah. You can't live in like a gated community. You have to go live out with the people, get a regular ass job. You know, like it'll get a bunch of people here. It'll actually kind of do a weird
A
economy
buddy of mine
stimulation
out
thing.
here was actually asking me, like, hey, you worried about your family with the hurricane coming? And I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
they don't give
What?
a fuck, bro. I don't
No,
even
no,
think
no.
they're putting up one shutter.
No.
Not in
They
a
don't
tropical
give a fuck.
depression.
it's a
like,
tropical depression now. It was a
Yeah.
tropical storm an hour ago.
We'll
But
we'll go out to dinner in a
Yeah.
tropical depression in Florida. Like they
Exactly,
stop
yeah.
on the highway here in Georgia when it rains real bad. They stop.
No,
I'm
yeah.
just laughing like we got a free highway, kid.
Oh,
I'm with
yeah.
my daughter, like,
My
we're
first year
going.
living here, I was real weirded out when like a tropical storm happened because I was like, aren't people going to be inside? And everybody's like, what?
My
No, we're
first
going to go to the
year
beach.
here, Hurricane Andrew happened.
Oh God.
Like a couple months,
I was
right?
10 years
Okay.
old, dude.
Yeah.
My first year moved from Jersey to Kansas, and we were almost wiped out, me and my mom, by a tornado because
Mhm.
we didn't know. All of a sudden, the sky is black. We
Yeah.
didn't know. We get to the house here, like a tornado literally touched down like 10 miles away from where we were just driving. And that, I mean, I lived through more after that.
But so back to like, so I think everybody should live in Florida for a couple years because like racism will just be gone, you know.
Well,
And
there's
then-
racists in Florida still.
I know, but like when you,
Yeah,
but like
of
the
course.
communities are so So
They're not
integrated.
homogenous, they're all
Everywhere.
mixed,
It's just
yeah, they're so
hatred.
mixed that like if somebody that doesn't know, like your buddy from Texas, he wasn't racist, but like
No,
he didn't
he
know
just
that
was
people.
unsocialized.
Yeah, exactly. It'll
Yeah.
help socialize America more. And then number two, just living here for a few years is like being put in the army because like no matter what happens when you
Definitely
go
gets
back,
you going.
yeah, no matter what happens when you go back, like literally like you'll get held up in Florida or like see somebody like get stabbed in the street and you're like, oh shit's real. And then some guy in Colorado will be like, give me all your money, and you'll fucking say to him, let me see the knife or let me see the gun. Like
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
say
yeah.
that first if you're from Florida, and they'll be like, what? I'm like,
So
yeah,
I
I didn't think you had anything. Get the fuck away from me. Like that'll
was-
toughen people up and make people more socialized.
I was in Philadelphia.
I don't think we want more people coming here.
I didn't
I
think that
was-
at first. I will go on my rant about that after your thing, Andrew. Yeah.
Well, no, I was in Philadelphia, and we were going out. It was like a friend's wedding. My daughter was like 2, and we were hanging out with a nice other couple of couples.
Yeah.
And they were like, nice middle class. Like one girl was like an accountant. I think she's still like our accountant now or something. And like just good friends of ours, and shit. It was another good friend of ours getting married. And one of the dudes is like a fireman, super like great salt of the earth people, but a little square. You know what I mean? Like that couple, not specifically, but you know what I'm saying. So we're going out to have some drinks. We're going bar hopping in Philly. We each brought our mother-in-laws or whatever, so they're watching the babies and shit, which was great. And we get out and about, and we're going through some sketchy spots. And they're like, oh, this is like a sketchy spot. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm armed. We're cool. Like,
This is not a
and
sketchy spot.
One of the wives is like, you're armed, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what do you mean you're armed? Like you flew here? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And I'm armed. And I also brought a little bit of weed. You guys want to smoke a joint on this walk? And they were just like flabbergasted at the idea. And my wife was even a little bit like,
She's like, we don't live
like,
in
Jesus
Florida
Christ.
anymore.
yeah. And so, but
So-
for me, there's like being from Florida. It's like, yeah, take a risk. I've brought pistols into concerts because I just left it on my hip, and I was like, oh man, we're gonna go into Jack Johnson. I don't want to walk all the way back to the car, so I'll hold it with my phone, my little tiny 380. When they do the wand and they tell you to hold
Yeah,
all your shit
yeah.
in your pocket,
Yeah.
and then put it all back. And now one guy sees the gun, and it's like, we're never safe. We're
Yeah.
never okay.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a criminal, yeah, and
That's what I'm
now
saying.
now
Yes.
now
yes.
everything that I do is so legit that I can see on everywhere where
Yeah.
I'm like scam. I'm like
Yep.
yeah, hustle. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and I think the label of criminal is so fucking unfair because we're all criminals on some level. Some of us just never got
Absolutely.
caught. Some of us just never got busted. Like,
See, and that's another reason why people need
some
to
of
live
us
in
is getting
Florida.
caught. It was our blessing.
And
Right.
that's why everybody needs to live in Florida because there is that line. No, there's that line. Like you said, I feel like when you live in Florida, if you like you need to like you said, everybody's kind of a criminal, you know? But not
Yeah.
in not like killing somebody a criminal, like
no, but
some-
hustling.
like hustling,
figuring
yeah,
it
yeah.
out, getting
Like
somebody
not
in,
legit and that's considered a
shysting,
criminal.
Fucking somebody. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
And again, depending on where you're from, how square you are. Like, I grew up with wild Cubans on one side and
Yeah, but
rough
the
Guineas
rest
on the
of
other
the
side.
country, bro, is that square is what I'm trying to tell
That's
you.
what I'm saying. I've only started to learn that
Yeah.
when I first lived in Texas. Okay, because again, all the traveling I did as a young man fighting, I was in fight camps or going to fights. You're not like, I'm gonna go see the countryside. You're like in the zone doing your
Yeah.
thing. So like, as an adult now, having lived in Texas as a young adult, now living in Georgia, when my wife and I moved to Texas, we were in our mid-20s, I want to say, and I was at the tail end of my fight career. I was like sparring for people, being a sparring partner and shit for other like real heavyweights that were trying to come up.
Yeah,
Frank
I was
you ever
on
heard
the
of Jeff,
downside.
Jeff Munson?
Oh yeah.
Frank Mir. He was
I've
Frank
been on the mat
Mears.
with Jeff. I've been on the mat with Jeff. Fucking, you're an ATT guy?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
a Jeff Munson fan. I trained with Jeff for years. He was my next door neighbor.
You
I
can't-
was-
And
you know the Avalon
I got
brothers?
story. I can give you stories
Dude,
all day long.
Casey's
but
jacked.
I still get in touch. He still texts me pictures of his new daughter and
You know the
his
Avalon
wife in
brothers?
Russia.
Marcus
No.
and David Avalon. That's where I've been on the mat with Jeff. FFA was the camp across the street from FIU in Miami.
Wait.
I can give you a whole nother
Casey.
episode because I am trying to take over Don King's facility and build
Oh,
a
no
mega
shit.
sports complex
Nice.
that's all around MMA and fighting. So I can
Dude,
really.
Dude,
I got some guy. We gotta get together.
dude,
bro.
yeah.
So
See,
no,
I told
you don't understand
dude.
how many
Woo.
times I've been putting pins in a map for years, building this thing up, and I don't want to lose this opportunity. I actually wanted Don King to give me the property because he's such a to deal with. My other
Yeah.
issue is that the neighborhood has like 293% higher crime rate than the national average in Mongolia Park.
Wow.
Who wants to put up 20, 30, 45 million dollars that it's
Yeah.
going to take to build my facility in that neighborhood?
Well, I mean,
But-
maybe after your
I found another
Your
pin
pad.
and I put it in, and the Palm Beach Police Department is able to buy that whole town because they're under and they owe money. But for what are they going to get a revenue source from if they buy it? Nothing, because the port is not dug deep enough. So now they're thinking about dredging the port so that they can bring in more cruise ships. But right now it's not worth the time. So if you can put an MMA facility in that plaza
dude.
with an entire community, I mean, the whole device that I've built for the place will blow your mind. It's 63 acres, and I have a hotel, an MMA arena, an indoor-outdoor gym, rock climbing facility with
Dude, that's
all
awesome.
kinds of gymnastics.
You know,
the entire family.
For a long time, I've been, and this is something that I kind of put back burnered a while ago because I've been focusing on music and shit these last couple of years. But I had an idea, not for a facility like that, but if I found a person who had a facility, and in your case, thinking about an area like that with a crime rate like that, do an outreach program.
Yeah.
because I know for
there'd
me-
be so much to give back to the community.
For
because
me,
of
combat
music
sports
production
saved my
tax
fucking
money.
We
life.
could
So-
have.
The dudes that I know who didn't fight either got locked up or joined the army. That was the options. There was like some smart kids.
You
know what I'm
wanna
saying,
hear
went
my
to
other way
school,
to-
And that's it.
You want to know how much money I can make in the Florida DOC prison institutions?
Oh yeah.
I can make them so much money with televised fightings from prisons.
Oh dude, that's
Come
crazy.
on.
Yo, actually,
That's next
wait.
level.
Wait, so
You
Casey,
put it on YouTube or video. You do your own stream. It
Our
would be
buddy-
great. And the incentives and everything that you could do, but you do it right.
yeah,
Right? Where you have training, and it's not to a death, but you can now
Yeah.
take different gangs and let them take their energy and aggression out in a ring in an MMA
Yeah,
fight.
yeah,
I also had a program for tattoo cover-ups and tattoo takeoffs, and actually give the guys real ink and real guns, and let the inmates pay to
Right.
get their tattoos redone.
And also give them a chance to have a better start again to get some of that shit off of them that
Yeah.
scares people.
Right,
or is
some of
racist
it's
or
so
fucked up.
gang and young
Yeah.
and child, and they were
Yeah.
14, 15, and they had to be in gang. Listen,
Yeah.
I've been in and I saw where kids got their arms shredded off, layers of their skin cut off, because they weren't either initiated properly or whatever. They're
Yeah.
jitterbug, and
Yeah.
YOs are the worst.
So, Casey, actually, I think you may know one of our friends. Do you know Ed? He used to do MMA.
Ed Lawrence.
Yeah, Ed Lawrence. At with American Top Team
He
up
was
there.
a top team for a while.
Yeah,
Not
He's-
like I don't
he's
think
like-
I do personally.
he was bald, but he's like jacked like you.
But the
Dude,
thing is,
Andrew,
there's like a lot
Casey's-
of guys who are bald and jacked at
But I mean,
MMA,
like,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
Dude, Casey
you're
is-
not- you really got to narrow it down, Mike.
So
Sorry,
my
yeah.
early trainings were like street defense when I was first training. Then I got into Valaris. Valari was a self-proclaimed grandmaster, with the Shaolin Kempo systems, and nobody could defeat him. So he pretty much brought his schools on, and he has a great way of school and fighting and everything as well. From there, I did whatever I did through the streets, and then what I went through in prison, I picked up a couple because it made better, psychological.
Sure.
I had
Yeah.
a couple of guys I could really train with and get into and play around with. And believe it or not, when people see you play around, then they don't really fuck with you. so much.
Yeah, and it's also like when you're
Well-
training constantly, you are very at
Hey,
ease. I
mental.
feel like you feel comfortable and
Right.
confident
Yeah.
in yourself. You're not pent up or worried or tense about shit. Like
Also,
today,
I don't think anybody messes with Casey too, because like you can't tell, Andrew, but like he's like jacked, like he's bigger than Ed though.
sure,
Like,
sure.
Listen, we all go through our phases. We've been out for Corona.
No,
back in the
okay,
but-
sorry, he's shrunk down to Ed's size, and Ed's huge,
Well, there's
like-
there's also guys, right, that are little
but he
that have that
walks.
same air.
You
about
understand?
them, that you carry yourself.
Casey
a certain
can't
way.
not walk
When
because
when
his muscles like this because his muscles are big.
But when you live in certain circumstances, you learn how to carry yourself in a way that just make people decide you're not a target. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah. Like I definitely like if I were in a spot that I was uncomfortable with Casey, I would not feel uncomfortable because like I feel safe around him. Like the same way I feel safe around you and Mike. Oh, like if Mike
Sure.
were fit is like how Casey's built. There
Casey's
you go.
built. Gotcha.
Dude.
Mike 5 years
It's
ago,
not
8
just
years
about
ago.
being as fit as you look. You also really need to know what you're doing with your
Yeah,
strength.
That's
Fitting
well
here.
that's the whole thing too. Like there's some guys that are big, I'm like I could probably just push them over, right? Like
Also,
I
some
never
people
get that.
fall apart.
Yeah.
In a shitty situation. Some people can't maintain their
You
calm.
can just tell
Some people
talking to
panic.
Casey though, like if like the way he carries himself even in this conversation,
Yeah,
like
sure.
like he's not to be
I think
fucked
so.
with. Like he's not to be fucked with, you know? Like
Well, but again, it's one of those things too where there's like
not
a
even the
certain-
topic, just like
See, I
like you guys were saying the confidence.
I think you sometimes think about that, Mike, more than a guy like Casey or myself, where it's like, if there was going to be a problem,
Yeah, you guys aren't thinking about it. That's the
there's gonna-
thing.
If there was going to be a problem, the problem would have already happened. Like for our
Action.
mentality, and it's
Yeah.
the action. It's not.
Well,
gonna be,
it's the, so I've also been in a situation where it saved my life.
See, I saved
You
my
know-
life several times too by forward thinking like I'm doing.
yeah,
And I'm
sure,
like,
sure.
and I'm just like, you know what? There's nobody
that's
here that
great
can defend
intention.
me. I need to leave now. And then I leave, and then like when as I'm
Awareness.
yeah, as I'm
Situational
like
awareness is
starting
key.
up the car, I hear like blah 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 blah. Ah! I'm like, yep, I've left at exactly the right time. Got to get up.
That's great,
Like, yeah,
great intuition. That is
Yeah.
what that is.
Dude, I
Always
literally-
actually-
awareness.
now take that same intuition when it comes to stocks and businesses and
Yeah, yeah.
investments, and you jump on that same feeling.
yeah. I've been actually we did that with this weed stock, and it's been making us like $100 a day. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty nice.
Which thing?
Fantastic.
Afra. Let me look it up here. Like, because we
We
only put
Man.
like $500 in it, and it's
Abra.
yeah, Afra Inc. It's a Canadian weed stock. It's down right now, but it was making us like $100 a day.
You can't watch them though, or you'll go nuts.
I didn't.
So,
No, I
like-
didn't. Like, I didn't watch it for like a week, and I came back and I was like,
And you're like,
"How do
"Ooh."
we have $1,000? We had $500 on Sunday. Like, it just
That's
went
fantastic.
every day. Yeah, but no, like and that was just like a shit. I thought we were gonna lose that money on that stock. I thought we were just gonna. I was like that was a lost $500. You know, like yeah, whatever.
Right.
Because we had other investments that were like doing better, but like that was it just starts it like doubled in a week, and I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, man, like so many of my friends, like when we would go to parties around here, I'd be like, yeah, I know all of the people at this party. We shouldn't be here, and they're like, why? I'm like, because everybody has guns and they like to fight, like with their guns, and they're like, no man, you're crazy. And then my friend will like see somebody that he knows, like this is exactly what happened at one of these parties. He's like, oh man, this party's cool, this is my boy. And he was like one of the people throwing the party, and he was like, hey man, where's the bathroom? So he goes in the bathroom, and then he comes out into the room, and like all the people that live there are like, somebody stole our coke. And my buddy's like, what? And he's like, yeah man, we're gonna go out here and we're gonna start handing out blessings to people until we find our coke. And they all start pulling out guns, and they're like, is this guy cool? And his buddy's like, yeah man, this guy's good. And he's like, all right, here, now you fucking take this gun and you're gonna help us. And then like, so they're just getting ready to figure out how they're gonna shoot everybody at the party. The party that I said,
why there's able to
Yeah.
have riots.
right? Like literally, like this is the party I was like, we should leave now. These people are somebody's gonna get shot at this party. And then like the one guy was like, oh shit, the bag of coke's right here. And then they're like, whoop, give me all these guns back. Do. And my friend comes out, he's white, but he was like white, and he was like, Mike, you were right. We should leave. I was just in a group of people. We were about to shoot everybody in here. We should leave now because they could do it again. Yep, and somebody got shot at that party like an hour after we left, and I was like, "Gotta listen." Like, I, like I know when
But
somebody's about to get shot.
I got a 5-year-old daughter now, and I
Yeah.
tell her all the time, you want to climb on those rocks, you got to understand what the consequences
Yeah.
are going to be.
Yes.
You're liable to fall down and get hurt.
Mhm.
I don't care if you climb to the top.
Yep.
Baby girl, I will cheer you on the entire way, but I
But
want to
know
let you
what
know
can
that if
happen.
you fall,
Yeah.
Fuck
it's going to
yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
You're going to get
Yeah.
the boo-boos, and,
gonna
and
suck.
if you handle the boo-boos,
Yep.
you're okay. And she's fallen, and guess what? I got the boo-boos, you're right. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to brush it off, walk it off. Okay,
Yep.
good. I want to try again, Daddy. Alrighty,
it.
kiddo,
Yeah.
go for it. She is
That's the best.
fearless.
It's the best.
Fearless.
Yeah.
And loves
That's
to
good.
height, jump, all kinds of stuff.
Nice. I'm
That's the best.
glad that
Yeah.
that we had you on and you guys are gonna talk after the show because like I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like we all may have to
Yeah,
have a
this-
trip out to hang out with you, Andrew, where we go
That's
hiking.
why I need
Oh, yeah.
this country free, because it's opportunity, man. That's all it takes. It's just be kind, do the next right thing, and you will meet and be in the right places if your mind is open to those right places.
I was trying to tell
Oh,
my
yeah.
wife about that because she's always like, "Well, we shouldn't do that. Like, I don't know if I should ask for this at work or if I should do this." I'm like, so my wife has much more formal education than I do, and I have made like 10, maybe I have made millions of dollars and lost millions of dollars because I'm stupid, also, right? But if and the only reason I've had those opportunities is because, like I told you, when I would go around the world, people would be like, "Come with me." I'd be like, "Okay." I'd go with them.
If the millions
say
are confiscated, is it still lost?
Yeah, I mean, so when I was running my business, I ate at Ruth Chris and Morton's every day, one or the other. Like that was just my lunch and sometimes dinner every day, right? And like it got to the point where like when I was dressing like a bum, I would go in there and like a new person that would work there would be like, "Excuse me, sir, you're not dressed." And other people were like, "Oh no, it's okay. He like spent $10,000 here already this week." I need an accountant as soon as my next like high paying job or high paying business venture comes in because I should not be allowed to touch my own money.
I've never
as
been
soon as
good
that
with
happens.
money at all.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I
like,
am so terrible. With
that's
my
a
wife.
symptom of
Neither of
being-
you had a Jew sitting with you on the side,
You
man.
literally sound like my
wife.
guitar
I married
player.
a Jew. She runs the whole shit.
and now things are primo.
Bro, I'm in a 7-bedroom house. I'm happy as fuck. I got no complaints because we look at our strong suits and we play our roles. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm a more hands-on parent than she is. You know what I mean? Like I'm the ass wiper in a lot of ways and stuff like that.
listen,
the boots
I've been
on the
dedicated
ground,
to my
you know?
daughter since day one.
There's no other way.
And in my situation, her mother took her from me when she was 6 months old out of state, and I got her back from the courts, and I got full custody of her.
Oh, outstanding.
She was not even a year old, and the courts granted me full custody of my daughter. Man, I got tears running down my face leaving that courtroom, escorted by 12 police officers.
Oh,
It's unbelievable, that feeling.
fun. Yeah, amazing.
Also, Casey,
And now
is a-
she's doing the same thing again. She just moved up to Virginia, bought a house, got a new job, thinks she's taking her up there again, and it's not happening.
Also, Casey is a TV
Oh.
star. If you want to catch his episode on Judge Judy,
Yes,
he's a TV
yes,
star.
you can find it.
Yeah.
They take it down a lot, real fast.
They do.
So
I
it's
noticed it
a
because
half-hour episode, and when it hits,
I
I get
posted
notified.
it.
A lot of people hit me up.
Yeah, I
It's
posted
actually
it. I
Facebook.
remember when you were like, "Oh, here it's on YouTube or whatever," or I put it up on YouTube for you
Yeah.
one time, and I just got taken down right away. Because I shared it, and then I tried to click on the link as soon as I uploaded it and shared it, and it was like, "This video is no longer available." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
Yeah,
That's too
she's got a
funny.
rock on that, and I didn't get paid, man. I still have anxiety to this day from that
Oh.
show. I got more
Really?
anxiety from that show. Yeah,
You know what though? See, this is
Yeah,
how
it
you
hurts.
know, like,
it gave me real bad.
but mentally you can tell from that show after you saying that, like, that you've got, like, you're a very strong-minded individual because
I
Like,
was
it-
too nice. I didn't argue with her. I was,
You
always taught
didn't-
respect her.
but
Don't
you didn't
don't act
need
out.
to.
And I didn't.
you
I should have.
you didn't.
No.
Yeah,
I should
you
have.
should
and I messed
have,
up.
but
I lost it because
yeah,
I didn't lose it.
yeah.
That's what happened.
Well, some of my favorite parts of that episode though, or is where she's hanging herself, and
She
keeps-
did all
just,
throughout the show.
She just digs her hole deeper
I
and
can
deeper.
I can actually watch with you, and I'll tell you right there is where my stomach fell out of my asshole. Just
like,
literally.
but you were
out,
smiling.
dude.
You're just
I lost it
but-
because at that moment she goes,
yeah.
"Do you have the proof that she was served
Mhm.
on her countersuit?" I'm like, what do you mean? We postponed the first show airing to wait until everything was lined up. Your people knew, my people knew. She helped me write the motion.
Yeah.
What do you mean I needed the piece of paper that showed that she was served in time?
Well, I know,
like, oh, you're gonna have to take that back to West Palm Court. Okay.
Yeah,
and the worst thing was that I left the envelope with the letter from the police statement that I got the day I left.
Oh no.
And I just said, ooh, okay, I'll leave it.
Oh man.
If you watch the episode, you'll see I had a piece of paperwork for every single question that the judge had.
Up to
everything that she rebutted.
Yeah, but up to that
I
point,
had all my P's and Q's.
Up to that point, though, when she was hanging herself with all the rope that she was giving herself, this is what I'm talking about, like mentally stable, though, like because you could have like taken so many low blows and jabs, but you just stood there and smiled, like literally.
I didn't say a word.
But Judge Judy, as she was just saying the dumbest shit. Judge Judy, her face was like, "What?"
She was ripping her, dude.
She's like,
Judge Judy.
She's like, "You're not a parent. Like, you're not like." She like let her have it too. It was great.
The cat,
dude.
The fucking cat.
Yeah, like
Judge Judy lost it. With
dude,
the cat.
It's a great episode. Like,
we'll move on until everybody has watched it.
I'm gonna have to check that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's hilarious.
But yeah, like he like, I remember working when we worked together. You still work there sometimes?
I do outside sales. So I left there 2 years ago to
like
do
Jason.
full outside sales directly for them.
Yeah, like Jason
and
did.
I've been doing that, and it's nice because I work for myself again, which is what I've always wanted to do. I'm an entrepreneur. Now I have my options open to be able to market myself to anything that's out there, and I'm out there because that's what I've always done. I was a hustler when I was a dealer, and I was out there, and that's what I do.
Yeah, but what I was saying is like a lot of people, it seemed like that was a transient spot for like a lot of people, except for like that were at the salesman level kind of deal, right? But like for you were like always like, no, like I make money, like I'm making money.
It wasn't even so much because I had already made money and I lost money, and I had gone through a period in my life because I started there in my work release program out of prison. So I did 4.5 years and went to work at that store, and I stayed there. And he was, I'm there because I'm loyal.
And Michael's a good guy, though. Like
he is, but I think he's losing it.
Really? I mean,
personally, and it's tough for me on outside sales in a store that's fighting against me.
Remember when I was there, I was trying to take him into the internet, and that was a struggle.
He's still closed. He's still closed. So what do? He doesn't want to grow, and I think I can get bigger.
Yeah, then get bigger.
Restricting me from getting bigger, and I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't. Sometimes you gotta leave stuff behind.
How do I break up a 7-year relationship?
Well, I don't think that he.
And I know it would be okay, and it'd be okay, but do I want to?
Yeah.
He's been good.
Exactly, that's the thing. I don't think that, like you said, he's losing it or anything. Like I think he's good with where he is.
We'd have to talk about the stories before we even.
Yeah, but I just think he's like good at where he is, and I think that's the problem with him.
He's content with what he makes and keeping the store as it is.
That's all.
And,
yeah.
He likes to live on that edge, not too hard, not too far away. He doesn't want to be, alerted.
I don't think he wants to blow up.
And do too much.
Yeah, because I think he's.
Because it means more employees, more things, more responsibility, and more stress.
And
he's got a couple of kids left to go through college, and he's going to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the right level of stress and the right level of size for him to manage for him. And
but I want more stress.
But you want more stress. Exactly. Yeah, you want more.
That's how I get bigger. I build. I go to the gym. I put myself under stress. Why? Because I get bigger.
Yeah.
And I
do
fail.
Get bigger.
I go to the gym and I fail.
Oh,
I go there until I fail and can't do it anymore.
Yeah, you go to failure.
That's what makes me better because I just keep coming back. I'm not scared to fail.
To truly
lose it all.
Yeah. I really believe that to truly be a success, you have to become a master of failure. Like you have to build your success with a mountain of failures to climb. You know what I mean? Like that's the essence of true
and that becomes experience as long as you learn from it, and then your failures are experiences, and your mountain is now a mountain of failed experiences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as long as you didn't grow up listening to emo music like me, where failure makes you depressed.
Yeah, I missed that generation completely. That was a good skip between me. That EDM music was starting to come in. Now we brought that to you guys.
I know.
With all them beans and popping all.
You're only like 4 years older than me. Yeah, man. You're only one high school class older
Oh, and
than
it
me.
changed. You wished you were in my senior class. I know it. I
No,
know you were there. Man,
I
I wish
real
I was with those seniors.
I
Man,
did
they're so
no I
cool.
no I did just because all the people that I listened to
Yeah.
were just like 4 years older than me, making that sweet sweet emo music. All the all the people like all the big emo bands like they're all like exactly like 78, 79. Like that's the year all of them were born. They were all like, yeah, they're all like Gen Xers that were the first generation that was like super soft in America
Wasn't
enough
The Cure
to
like the
where,
first big emo band?
yeah, yeah, that's like what everybody
That's like the
like that's
granddaddy
the
of
Cure and the
emo.
Smiths,
The
and that's
Smiths.
literally like the two people that all the emo bands talk about, and I'm like, you have to be like at least 4 years older than me to like know who
What's that
those
other
people
guy?
are.
What's that other
The
guy?
guy from the Smith Morrissey.
No, fuck. Joey Diaz has a big rant about him. He's like, "That's not you call that singing?" Fucking
Oh,
Tom Waits. Tom
Bright
Waits.
Eyes. Oh
No,
no,
I think it's Tom Waits.
no,
Isn't
it's
he like?
no Bright. Tom Waits is a country singer. Bright Eyes.
No, Tom Waits isn't a country singer.
Yeah, I mean comparatively, no, but like, no,
But
no,
isn't
no.
like Tom Waits and Elvis Costello like old man emo?
Oh no, no, no. You're talking about Weezer, the guy from Weezer.
No, Tom Waits. Underground, fucking.
I don't know. I don't know. I
You
think
don't
you're
know?
talking about the guy from Bright Eyes. I hate
I don't know what Bright
Eyes.
Eyes is. I
fucking
don't know what Bright.
hate Bright Eyes.
I'm talking about Tom Waits. I've never knew he was in any other bands.
I don't
He's just
know.
Tom Waits.
I don't know. I all I know is like I love that stuff, and like we were talking about this last episode with Doug, where like yeah, like it's the people like our age that like loved emo, like that's the reason they're terrible now because they're adults now, and like their rites of passage were not like the way they were. That was literally
Yeah.
when like the rite of passage of becoming a man turned from like something physical and a hardship into
It's
like,
supposed to be like an ordeal.
yeah, and their ordeal is like some girl cheating on them or some guy cheating on them. That was
A
their like
heartbreak.
a heartbreak. Oh, nobody knows my pain. I'm sitting on the
Well,
overpass in New
talking about
Maybe
Jersey
it just
drinking.
must have shut down.
Huh? Yeah,
And
yeah,
then it became a
yeah.
you know, black period. No, you don't get me. You don't, not that I can't be understood, or hey,
Yeah.
how do I become understood?
It was like, no, you'll
I
never
got shut
understand me.
down.
Yeah, you'll never understand
Never.
my
I'm gonna just
depression.
layer me and layer
Yeah,
me and layer me.
yeah.
And now
Waves.
look at them in the generations,
Uh.
and we're entitled. They want stuff.
Yeah, man.
I remember having those
They're willing
kind
to
of,
follow
like,
anything. You want to go
Uh.
back to country music, you'll fall for anything. If how does it go? Stand.
Oh, that's actually a hardcore song. I played with this.
Yeah,
Like, if
you'll
you- if
fall
you
for
don't-
anything.
yeah,
if
if
you're not
you-
standing for something.
If you don't
Yeah,
stand for something, you'll fall for
You
anything.
don't-
yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live
Well,
for
I mean,
like this
but
band
part of it is,
Hatebreed
like-
did like a cover of that, but it was like if you live for something or you'll die for nothing. Like I toured with them. They're fucking
Right.
good dudes, and like
Well-
it's really weird because like they're, and that was the other thing too. Like you either kept going with like the soft ass emo stuff, in like my world of white people, or like you went like to hardcore and like metal. But like the only dumb thing is like that those people still have the same dumb like entitled values. But the people that were singing, like that were making the music on like the metal side, were actually singing about real like external struggles and hardships. But like because they were playing it in the popular music style, the kids were taking it from the same place as like emo music.
That whole vibe just can't take hold in a Spanish house. I remember telling my dad, like, "You don't get me," and him being like, "So, shut up. Go get the fuck out of here." Like,
I wrote
like,
a
like,
short
I don't
film.
I don't care if I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
I wrote
Like,
a
I
short
remember-
film about this actually. Like
Really?
these kids move, like this family moves from like from some like South American or Middle America or like Caribbean Spanish country to Lake
Mhm.
Worth, right? And like it's this like kid, like he like they came over when this kid's like 10, and he like starts growing up with these kids, and he starts like playing music with them, like in like a propaganda and stuff, and he likes
Mhm.
metal screamo stuff. And like that's like his new like living the real like 90s emo lifestyle is him trying to like explain his art to his like parents, who like moved them here because of real struggle, and he's like, you don't understand like my struggle. Like it's all in Spanish. Like the whole movie is
The
like in
irony.
Spanish.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
that's
a,
good irony, man.
it's
I
crazy.
love that.
Yeah, like it's a crazy. Like I wrote this film like
Yeah,
a couple
small
like a
and
while
cheesy.
ago.
It's easy.
Yeah.
I liked it.
And like it had really good, like I wrote like really good like live, like because he's like a really good guitar player, and like
That's
everybody
super
loves
relatable
him.
too, though.
Like it's
I mean,
cool, yeah.
A
Like,
lot of people experience that with their parents. Like even Morrison. I mean,
yeah.
you know, he's American and shit. His mom, I was like talking to him about his mom, and he was like, "Yeah, my mom still thinks I'm a DJ and shit." Like it's like
yeah.
some people just don't get it. I was competing in kickboxing and boxing, and then eventually mixed martial arts for like my whole teen years into my 20s. And my grandfather and grandmother would still. My grandfather didn't want to come to matches because he just didn't want to see me get hurt or anything. And he would say like, they'd be like, "You still doing that wrestling?" And my grandmother would see like wrestling on TV, and she goes, "Is that what you do?" And I'd be like, "No, not really." Like, and so it's like,
Graham, you'll
Yeah.
see me on
Yeah, it's
TV
like-
one day.
it's like, yeah, I guess. And then I would put now, in fairness though, to my grandmother's credit, I would pop on matches, or like she'd be hanging out with me when I order a pay-per-view, and she'll get the fuck into a fight. I remember watching fights with her, and she's like, "Oh, that son of a bitch is hitting him with the knee over and over again. That's right." Like, and it's one of those things where it's like you look at where you come from, and you're like, "Oh, she is a savage." Like
Yeah.
deep down, you know what I mean? Like she's a.
Right.
I had the opportunity. You talk about connection to like different values and understanding. This past year, I had a chance to drive from Port St. Lucie up to Atlanta with my grandmother, and we just
Nice.
kicked it hard. And I think she got baked to the gills in the car.
You told
because
me about this.
I
yeah.
roasted a couple of fat joints in the car
think-
while we were hanging
yeah.
out listening to podcasts and shit.
You're
And
like,
then
I
all of a
think I
sudden
hotboxed my grandma.
Yeah, dude,
Listen,
we got
my grandmother, when she was in the nursing home, would even come tell me, "Bring me some of them wacky tobacco cigarettes
dude.
that your dad has," or and she would ask, is at that age, and to be able to be open and opening up to it. And,
I think for some of them it's easier at that age too, because it's like,
listen,
what else
one
is
of
there?
one of the endeavors I'm
last
looking
one.
to get into down here is a full-blown cannabis nursing home.
That's
Oh.
outstanding.
I'm talking classes
That's
on the stuff.
outstanding.
Blow your own, whatever.
Nice.
I get out of the
all
car with my
medications.
grandmother. We're at
The locations can do drop-offs.
Nice.
well, like a person like my grandmother, for instance, that would be one of those things that like she's a widow. You know what I mean? She's got no siblings. She's got no cousins left her age around. She's got like one good friend, and my in-laws are like close to her age, so she talks with them and shit, calls them all the time. And a place like that kind of idea where it's like communal and fun, and you know what I mean? Like
They're
people
not
having
going
a
there to
good time.
die.
Yeah. Yes. They're going there.
What'd
to
you say?
live.
You're not going there to get high?
They're-
Oh man, Sonny, I think that was the whole reason I'm out.
They're not going there
No,
to die.
you're not going there to die. You're going there
Oh,
to live.
die!
Yeah.
We're going there to get high?
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, that kind of shit, man. Like, dude, so I'm with my grandmother, and I roast a couple of fat joints in the car, and we stop on like, I think it's like I-10, where you're going straight across Florida, and there's like there's like one rest stop in the middle of this like state forest, and we stop at the rest stop, and we get back in the car, and she's like, "Those kids were looking at me, I don't know why," and I go, "Biga, we fucking reek." She goes, "What do you mean? I smell bad?" And I go, "No. We smell like we just smoked a bale of weed. We just smoked a bale of weed." And she was just like, "Oh, God, Andrew, you turned me into a druggie." And like, but she is, and she'd kill me for telling this story, but she's not on social media, so she'll never know I said it. But one time, this is like a couple of years ago, I had first moved to Atlanta, and my oldest friend, Tom, and a good buddy, Jojo, who's been on this show before, wanted to come visit. And they wanted to drive, but neither of them were super confident in taking the drive, right? So I flew into town, and they picked me up at the airport, and we went to my grandmother's house to hang out and have dinner, and I was literally driving right back up to Atlanta with them. We get to my grandma's house, and JoJo goes, "Hey, I got these fucking cookies I made for the ride."
Oh, no.
And I'm like, "All right, let's do it." We eat these cookies, and my grandmother's like, "What do you get out of that? What do you get out of it? Is that, what does he feel like? Like you had a drink? Like you had a cocktail?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean,
Have one.
you get a little something out of it. So she has like a piece of a piece of a piece. She has like a tiny little piece. And she is like lit. She's having fun. She's making jokes. She's giggling and being silly. And then about 30 minutes, 40 minutes into her clearly feeling really good, she just stops and gets like saucer-eyed and
Realize.
slinks back, and she goes, "Oh, I don't feel good." And I'm like, "You all right?" And she looks at my sister and she goes, "I'm going." And I thought she went to my sister like, "I'm going to the bathroom." And I'm like, "Oh no," she like lost control. And because she's old, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, she didn't lose control. She was
Right.
fine. She's telling my sister, "I'm going," like I'm dying. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
dying right
Going
now.
to the light.
And I look at my my sister. My sister looks at me. My friend Joey goes fucking completely green because he thinks he just killed my grandmother. And fucking my grandfather was still alive, and he's like, "Oh Jesus Christ, what the fuck? See that, Rachel? You gotta fuck around and try that shit now. You're all fucked up." So my brother like pulls my grandfather into the other room to like chill him out, so he doesn't freak her out. And she's like starting to teeter totter. So I go, "I got the remedy for this, man." I literally like scoop her up, pick her up, put her on the couch, sit her down. I put a bag of fucking chips under one arm and a bottle of water under the other arm, and I put on fucking TV, like an old movie. And within like 5 minutes, she was like in a hole for a second, and she was eating the chips and drinking the water. She was like, "I definitely feel better now that I'm eating." And she goes, "What the fuck is in that?" And I go, "Weed. Like, that's what the fuck is in it." And she was like, "I won't eat it again. I'll do the little pen. I won't eat it again."
You gotta understand though, Casey. Like him and his buddy Joey, when they go like any like edibles, it's like super hard. Like
Yeah,
I
I think
wouldn't-
that's
Yeah,
But I wouldn't
listen.
trust-
I'll let you know how much I understand. You heard of some of New York's finest diesel, sour diesel?
yeah, sure.
So that's my cousin Strand.
If you grew up in the East
Okay.
Coast,
yeah, you know that.
that
yeah.
was like one of the strains that
Yeah.
you grew up. That's like
No,
the
well,
sweetest
it
smell, like the sweetest
Yeah.
smell.
nectar.
Yeah. So
Like
those
that
who really know it
smoky
know it by
diesel.
the smell.
Yeah,
Yes.
man.
But it made its way to California
Oh yeah.
and to become a West Coast plant as well.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Well, no. What I'm
that's-
saying
That's
with
his Strand.
with their
That's-
edibles. Like for
So-
example, there's this episode. Well, we do this other show called Chefed Up where he gets like he gets all fucked up and the
I
guests
get
get all
fucked up
fucked
in
up.
some way. The guests get fucked up, and then I try and instruct them on how to cook something.
Yeah, and then he tries. So he made this cake, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a weed cake." And then
Have
like,
I?
but I just want to tell this the
Go ahead. Yeah,
hilariousness,
please,
right?
please do.
So like
That episode will air to our
some
Patreon members.
yeah, that's a Patreon only a video. Like we'll show it to you when I finish it, Casey. But there's this one point where like somebody's like, "How much weed is in this cake?" And you're just like, "I don't know. It's like a lot of joints worth or whatever." And then like 3/4 of the way through, like right before Andrew's like he gets sick and he's
Yeah,
just
the Jameson. We
and
drank
he's
a couple
just-
bottles of Jameson.
and he's just sitting off to the side like this, right? But right before that happens, he says the words, "Maybe the 200 joint cake was too much." like 200 joints worth in a cake. And he
So-
had like 6 pieces by himself, like big pieces,
My
big
specialty
pieces.
of making cake is what I'll do is I'll save all my roaches, then I'll put them in a colander, okay, and I'll pound off all the ash over time, and they'll stay for a while, they'll get dry, okay. Then I'll take a butter and I'll make it out of those roaches specifically, the heavily resonated
Gotcha.
roaches,
And then butter it down.
and butter
Yeah.
it down like crazy. Make a really thick,
Ugh.
meaty butter, and then I'll take one batch of butter with about an ounce of roaches in it, and make one sheet of cake.
Like a
And
dense
it's
sheet of cake.
Super powered.
Yeah.
Have I ever told the cross country drive story with me and Tom and Marlon?
Yes.
On the show?
Yes.
I told it on the show where Tom throws the fucking shit
Yeah.
in bus trays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh
Well,
God.
I'll tell it again. Anyway.
Yes.
fucking-
Tell it again.
So we're
You've only
driving
told
to
it once.
Colorado. So Chefed Up was a podcast. One of my best friends in the world, Marlon Foster, who is like a friend of the show.
Do you
He
listen to
has-
Adam Dunn?
No, I don't know Adam Dunn. Who's this?
Okay.
Podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. So Marlon had a channel on Facebook that he wanted to do something with, and he was like a friend of a friend at the time. So I contacted him when he put a post about it. I was like, "Hey, I got an idea for a cooking show podcast." So we do an episode in Lake Worth where I drop acid and I teach my buddy Tom how to make risotto, mushroom risotto, and the lead singer of Spread the Dub, Mick, came, and another buddy of mine who's a chef, who also is the guy who makes another thing for me, Dimitri, we'll call
Yo,
him.
we should make some garlic butter.
Fucking dude, make some dope ass reefer garlic butter.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we do that episode, and it was a really good time. So we do that episode, and it was a really, really, really good time. We had a lot of fun. And the garlic would actually make the shit taste less smoky, or the smokiness would taste better with the garlic too.
Yeah.
But
Oh, wow,
so
much better.
Damn.
so we do the
Blew
first
my
episode, it was a
mind.
really good time, and we decide like, hey, we're gonna do a second episode, and we're gonna take it on the road. So we had a guest initially, and then they bailed, and then we're like, fuck it, we're still gonna do it. We're just gonna do it like over the shoulder. We'll have fun with it. We get an Airbnb. We drive out to Colorado. Me, my oldest friend Tom, who has a show on our channel called Tom Eats It, and my good buddy Marlon, and the producer of the first 2 episodes of Chef Dub. So we're driving out there, but we didn't want to bring any smoke because I'm like, I'm not gonna bring a bunch of weed to Colorado and maybe get arrested and go to jail in fucking Kansas. Fuck that. Like, we can not smoke for a
You
day.
should hear my cousin's story about smuggling plants over to another country in their
God, I
pants.
can only imagine. Fucking, we give us his contact. We'll have him on. Fucking,
Yeah.
So I go, but you know what I'll do? I got this cake recipe. I'll make this cake. And Marlon gets into town. I show him the cake. When it's one of those cakes where you open the Tupperware, you're like, oh my god, it smells like being fucked
Yeah.
up. And so my best friend Tom is not a big getting stoned guy. So we're driving. We go through we have breakfast in Tennessee. We're driving through. It's just an awesome cross-country drive. And we get to Southern Illinois at nightfall. And right before we get into Southern Illinois, we're like, let's crack open this cake. Let's eat this cake. We eat the cake, and we get to this barbecue joint in southwestern Illinois. And we're like, this will be our last stop before we ride all night, you know what I mean, and get through to Kansas and all that shit. And so right when we get to the restaurant, it starts to kick in hard for my boy Tom. And me and Marlon are a little more seasoned, so it's not quite banging our brains yet. And we get in line, we order our food, and we get to the table, and Marlon is starting to go like, mate, what the fuck did you put in that? That's a fucking powerful fucking cake, mate. Jesus Christ. And I'm like, fucking, yeah, man, that is a serious batch. I'm like getting the sweats on my upper lip and shit. And fucking, we look over at Tom, and he's just white-knuckling the fucking table, leaning, sitting in the most uncomfortable-looking, tense sitting position possible.
He's gonna
And we're
fall
like, yo,
off the face of the earth. Yeah.
bro, yeah, exactly. He's hanging on for dear life. And fucking, we're like, you all right, bud? And he's like, I think I'm okay. I just really am hoping we can get back in the car really soon. And fucking, we're like, what'd you order? I'm like, oh, I ordered brisket. And Marlon's like, I ordered something tasty. We're talking about what we ordered. We're excited. And Tom goes, I don't know. And we go, what? We go, what do you mean you don't know? He goes, I don't know what the fuck I ordered. I couldn't read the menu. I couldn't figure it out. I pointed at some shit. I hope they gave me something good. I don't fucking know. I'm like, dude, what'd you get to drink? Because they had these homemade sodas that was lemon lime,
damn.
like a Sprite that they made with actual lemon in it, and
Nice.
strawberry soda,
Yeah.
and orange soda with mandarin oranges floating around in it. It was awesome. And fucking, he's like, I was like, did you get a drink? He's like, I couldn't figure out what they were called, so I didn't know what to do, and I didn't get one. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go get you a drink. I go get him a drink, and we're laughing, and Tom's super fucked up. We get our food, we eat. Tom barely eats. He is really white knuckling.
Oh wow.
He is fucked up.
That guy's known for eating sober.
Right. Tom
So my issue,
hammers.
my issue was that I got clean completely everything. I did my 4.5 years. I got out, stayed clean, everything for another 5, 6 before I got the legitimate card through medical. I wouldn't
Right.
even touch it.
Yeah.
Because
Smart,
again, I didn't want to go against anything that was legal.
Yep.
Yes.
So sorry, I just wouldn't touch it.
Yeah. Well, you're smart because you don't want to let the feds back into your life. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down to.
Right.
Once you
I
slip, they
completely
get right
changed
back
everything.
in. They come
So
right back.
It wasn't until
Yeah.
my life was secure that everything was kind of going, and it was work-wise. Then there was a lot of anxiety, the stress, and the pain to deal with. And it's like, okay, well, let me see about this. They've got the places, they're open. I talked to the doctor, figured it out, and then started getting into it. And it's completely different than the industry in which I was selling and dealing and growing
Sure,
and everything that
sure.
it is now.
Fuck yeah.
and the effects and trying to deal and figure it out, and there's difference in the different stores.
Learn
and
everybody's different
locations and-
tolerances and shit too. Oh yeah. So Marlon's stoned. I'm high. We're having a good time. My boy Tom is really riding the rails. And so Marlon
dying.
goes, I'm gonna go out and have a cigarette, mate. And Marlon gets up and goes out to smoke. And we're like, yeah, we'll meet you out there because we're gonna get ready to hit the road. I go, all right, I'm gonna wash my face since I'm on the wheel, I'm driving. So I tell Tom, hey, find out if we bust the table ourselves or if we tip or what, how, whatever. And he's like, he just like looks at me like, all right, whatever. And I
You left him. That's what happened. That's all that happened to him is you left him. He doesn't know what he said.
I wash my face, and I'm like, fucking, take a leak, get ready to get on the road. I walk out of the bathroom, and Tom is standing in the middle of the dining room and they serve you in these big aluminum trays, and he's got all 3 of our aluminum trays clutched up against his chest. His eyes are like fucking dinner plates.
Yeah.
And fucking, I look
For
at
a
him.
second there, y'all just dipped and left him there.
He's got the money I gave him for a tip in his hand, okay? And he's like, and I go, buddy, you all right? And he goes, Drew. And I go, yeah, you all right, buddy? Did you get a tip him or are you busting the table? What's up? And people are all just like looking at Tom from their seats. And he goes, I gotta get the fuck out of here! And throws the trays into the fucking wait station and just trucks out the fucking door with the tip money in his hand, leaves, then pokes half his body back in and throws the tip money in and it goes back out the door again. And I'm standing there like, so I go to our table, I make sure none of our shit is still there, I leave a $20 bill on the table, and I just slink the fuck out of there like a thief in the night.
Quick thinking. It's okay. He's autistic, guys. He's autistic.
Well,
we're trying to get him.
That vibe. When we were kids, we worked at a Papa Bears. It was like, it used to be an RJ Gators, turned into Papa Bears and back to RJ Gators. And Tom was a busboy, and I was like a host / busboy at Papa Bears. And then one day somebody was like, hey, man, I saw your family gives Tom rides to work. That's really cool that you're friends with him. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, he's really cool that you're friends with, that you're open-minded enough to have a friend who has, like, disabilities and stuff. That's cool. And I was like, Tom doesn't have any fucking disabilities. And they're like, what do you mean? He's always, like, filthy. He's got, like, different socks on. What do you mean he's got disabilities? And I go, Tom doesn't have any disabilities. He's fine. Like, he gets better grades than me in school. And they're like, this one dude's like, I've been tipping him out like 30%. And I'm like, well, he's not fucked up. He's fine. And this one guy's like, you swear to God, he's got this guy with a sick ass Brooklyn accent, New York guy. You tell me he's not a retard? You tell me he's not a retard? I'm like, he's not. He totally gets A's and B's in school. And they're like, what the fuck? So yeah, Tom gives that vibe, that autistic-y vibe. So they might have thought that already.
Did you just crash on his hustle out there? He's getting the extra.
It wasn't not. It was not.
He didn't
know
know
it all. A little bit of stutter. If he makes a mistake, he actually gets a bonus.
Tom was the kind of guy like that. We started that job and there were 5 busboys, right? By the end of that time, it was me and I was like an expo busboy host, and they only kept me on because I knew some kitchen shit. And Tom was the only busboy left. He outworked everybody. He didn't take breaks. He didn't take lunches. He would just eat like, oh, there's a half a sandwich in the bus tray. I'll just eat that. That's why they thought Tom was retarded. Okay?
Makes for less waste.
He would be bringing in the bus tray. And
it's hard to throw those away sometimes.
The dishwasher knew not to just dump the bus tray because Tom would have a pass first and grab stray chicken strips and fries and shit. So Tom's put that vibe off for a long fucking time. I've known him since we were in 5th fucking grade.
We call that a survivor, man.
Bro, Tom will live. He is a human raccoon.
Yeah, that's the kind of person you need in my circle, you know?
He had COVID, and they thought he was going to be on oxygen for like a year, and he's like, fucking, I sent all that shit back. I'm fine. I can breathe. I'm fucking over here drinking a soda. Like, fucking. He's the only adult I know who just drinks soda every goddamn day, too.
So I actually have a funny story about this one busboy.
Well, so let me finish. I'll give you the busboy story. So he throws the fucking shit. He leaves. I leave the 20. I'm like, sorry, my friend. Yeah, he's not feeling well. We go outside. Marlon is like in the complete opposite side of the trip. He's like, man, the sun was setting. There's like a train going by. And
he was like, yes.
Marlon's like having a cigarette. He's like, this is a fucking great idea, mate. We're gonna have a great fucking time. And Tom is standing by my Jeep.
Loving life. Now we're in.
Open the fucking Jeep. And I'm like, I'm not opening the Jeep until you come over here and take a picture. So there's a picture on Facebook somewhere of me like mugging, like making a funny face. Marlon's like smiling with a cigarette, and Tom's in between the two of us, like he looks like a raccoon that's like stuck in a dumpster. Like, and fucking, we get back in the car. I hadn't bought us the cowboy hats yet. We get back in the car, and we're driving in Illinois, and I don't realize that Tom, we're in the car. Tom's in the back seat. Marlon's in the front. We're sitting in the car, and Tom's like kind of mad at me, but in like a funny way. He's like, "It's fucking cake, Jesus fucking Christ." And we were in Illinois, in the Midwest. I guess there's these trains that go by that can be like 4 or 5, 6 hours long of a wait when you're at the railroad.
Yeah,
stop.
I lived in Kansas.
Yeah.
I
So
remember
there
some of
these
those.
huge long trains. So we're waiting at this train, and eventually Tom's like, "Why'd you make the train so long, Andrew? God damn it!" And we are just dying laughing. And we get there. We sleep in Kansas. We get to Colorado, and Tom's like, "I'm not eating any more fucking edibles until we film the show. I'm not. Don't give me any edibles." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not. I won't give you any edibles. Whatever." We party. We drop acid and drink a ton of rum and shots, and then I barf the whole night before we shoot the show. And Marlon was like trying to stay awake to like keep an eye on me. He's like, "Mate, you're leaning your head back. Sit up, mate." And I'm like, I got a Whole Foods bag on my stomach, and I'm just like every 5 minutes. So I dropped acid. I drank a bunch of rum. I drank beers and shots at the end of the night with Marlon because we were like celebrating and having such a good time. And
you got to be expecting those consequences if you
Well,
fall, big girl.
we're in the altitude as well. I didn't consider.
Oh yeah,
I'm a
that too.
flatlander.
Yeah.
I'm a Florida flatlander, so we're in altitude.
Takes a lot
And-
less to get fucked up.
Oh
And
yeah,
it snuck up on me really hard. So we get back to the
Sure.
Airbnb, and what am I thinking to myself? Like, I'm gonna secure a really healthy shit in the morning. We had a fruit platter in the fridge. I bust that bitch out. Okay, I got some
I
pork
do
belly
close.
skewers. I pop into the oven, and we're fucking chilling and having a good old time. And fucking, I'm eating all this fucking fruit, and then we light up a joint that they called a caviar, and it was like weed and keef and wax and all this different shit inside the joint. You opened it, and it just smelled like God's vagina. Like it was fucking just musty and delicious. And I smoked about half of it, and I'm like, I feel a little weird, man. This is some strong shit. And Tom's like, yeah, I'm fucked up. And I go inside, and I'm sitting with Tom in the living room, and Marlon's like, yeah, we're talking about the shoot the next day. This is how we'll shoot it. Da, da, da. And I go, Tom, give me that Whole Foods bag. He's like, this Whole Foods bag? I'm like, give me the bag. And he just gives it to me quick. And from 4 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock in the morning, I just lost 11 pounds. What? And Tom's fucking with me talking shit. Marlon had actually puked the day before on the cannabis tour that we were on. Again, I think the altitude got him with the edibles. And Tom was like kind of talking shit that he was the only one that hadn't puked. He's like, I always puke into this. I didn't puke this time. So the next day on the show, we bust out the edibles. We do like a pre-shoot. We eat the edibles like 30, 40 minutes before we go live, so everybody sees like, oh, they're eating the edibles before they shoot. Tom drinks this tincture that they tell you, like, put an eyedropper of it in your drink. An eyedropper is like 80 or 50 milligrams or some crazy shit like that.
I use a lot of those.
Tom just drinks half the bottle real quick.
Oh god.
Okay? And then he eats like a whole 100 milligram chocolate bar. Then we start the show, and during the intro, I'm opening Chiba Chews, 80 milligram Chiba Chews, and I'm popping them. And for every one I pop, I'm feeding him one.
Oh no.
And he's just eating them.
You just
So
destroyed the guy.
So by the end of the show, he's super fucked up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna grab a shower. Marlon's like, I'm gonna grab a nap because we're gonna go out later that night. And I order pizza, and I'm like, got pizza coming. Tom, here's some some dough. When the pizza comes, and Tom's sitting on the couch at this point going, and I give him the cash. I go in the shower, and every now and then you can just hear him like, and I take like when you take one of those like hour and a half long, it's not my water bill.
Yeah.
I'm in an Airbnb or a hotel, like fucking steaming hot, I'm baked to the gills shower where it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm not even cleaning myself anymore. I'm
Like,
just living
like you
here.
just ate a ton of edibles.
Yeah.
And so,
and
come out of the
you
shower.
knew that you originally came from water.
yes.
Yes.
So I get out of the shower. I'm fucking like, oh, feeling blissful. I put on some nice comfy shorts the whole night. I go out. There's an open front door.
Oh
There's
no.
pizza on the table. And Tom still has the money in his pocket, in his shirt pocket. And he's now, instead of sitting straight up on the couch, he's completely bent over at the waist, like all the way. At an angle that a fat man shouldn't be able to.
Right.
And he just, every like third to fifth minute, he's going, oh. And I'm like, buddy, you all right? How's their pizza? And you still got the money? And he's like, and he like musters himself. He sits up. I give him some water, and he starts coming a little bit out of it. And he's like, I think I'm gonna go lay down up in my loft in his room in the Airbnb. And he's like, the guy was talking to me. He was asking me for the money, and I kept trying to say to him that I have it in my shirt pocket, but it just came out. So the guy got frustrated, just left the pizza and walked out.
Oh,
I
wow.
think since then that was
Pizza.
Tom's last edible.
Hey, Mike, let's do a
pizza.
little test and see if that works tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
I think that was Tom's last edible experience, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to have it next time we have him on the pod. We're gonna have a Corona podcast where we have
Oh yeah.
a couple people who have had
My-
it get on and
My
talk about
girl's
it.
family was over at the house, and she had that and a couple of shots and a few things. Next thing you know, fully clothed, walks right into the pool. Just takes a straight walk. She hadn't been going on about. She feels
Edibles
so
are
good,
so magic.
better than she
Yeah,
ever
man.
has.
They are magic.
So magic.
Yeah.
Edibles are
I love
so magic. And then for certain people, like for me, I need a major dosage to like really get the party started. I'm a big boy, and I also
Sometimes
smoke
you
a lot of
have
reefer.
too much.
I
Maybe
really
the
think that was-
200
it's-
No, I
For
really
me,
think that was a
I'm
bad
learning more
idea.
That was the
microdosing.
I love microdosing. Yay.
I never got into microdosing. For me, a microdose is like 10 grams of shrooms.
No, it's not about blasting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess.
Listen, man, like the point right before you hit enlightenment on mushrooms, where everything's
before
clear.
you break through. Before you...
On whatever you're on.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like microdosing like hallucinogens is what I love doing.
Sure.
So like I just nibble on like one mushroom for like a week.
So
yeah.
I
Like,
think
so-
for me,
So no, like
Go
like
ahead.
it's the how like you're super articulate, your brain's like you're firing on all cylinders, and then like you break through to enlightenment and you don't need to speak, and then like you're fucking tripping balls and you're like blah blah blah, blah everything is everything deal.
And-
But before you don't get to those 2 points of enlightenment and like leaving the planet, you just get the hyper brain activity and are still functional.
sure. No, I've done it
Yeah.
before. I've eaten a couple caps and that's it. But like for me, I
No,
think
like even less.
yeah,
Like
I've
you
had
don't
a cap. I've
like
eaten,
you don't know it.
mushroom before. Like
I've
But for me-
I've taken a smaller amount than a whole bag.
yeah, I've eaten less than 10 in one sitting.
Yeah.
But for me, I guess I don't know if it's like a tolerance issue or whatever. Like
It probably is.
to
Well, you
get-
build tolerance. It's the same
Yeah.
same
I
with
think it's just,
with
I've been partying
with-
like that since I'm 13 years old. You know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So like for me, Miami Beach one time with my brother, and he gives me a quarter of shrooms. He gives my buddy, my guitar player at the time in my band FLA, Jake, he gives him like an eighth because he was like a 140-pound guy, and like we eat this bag of shrooms, and my brother's like, "You fucked up yet?" And I'm like, "Oh, not really, not really." And by the end of the night, he just kept giving me shrooms until I got where like I was with everybody, so to
Yeah.
speak. By the end of the night, I think I ate like 38 grams. And he was like, you owe me like fucking $80, like something like that. But
Like yeah.
so I think tolerance is an issue, but then also you get accustomed to. It's like you
That.
go to an amusement park. Well, it's you go to an amusement park and you ride a certain amount of rides. The next time you go,
Well-
you want to go to the new rides. Like so
Yeah.
for me, it's always been like I want to level up every time.
Well, this
And-
isn't about the ride though. Microdosing isn't about the ride. It's about
right.
when you're not trying to get fucked up on it. You're trying to use it to boost your
Yes,
like
precisely.
like like how like when you're trying to start like a new idea for like a business or something, and
Mhm.
like you have all the time in the world, right? Like for once you're alone, for once you can concentrate and like write out your business plan, write out your ideas and stuff, but like
Mhm.
your brain naturally like won't let you like hyper focus.
Zero.
Yeah. This is
That's
like
what weed. I use weed for that. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean like if you smoke enough to not get high, right? Or like just to like not even feel it, your
Mhm.
brain like
It's still reacting.
it's still reacting, but
Yeah.
like you're still
But you hone in on some senses.
exactly
like,
yeah.
and then
like,
and then
it
with
sure.
the different
dials
kinds,
you
like
in.
I'll be into a rant and then be like, oh damn, that's because I'm high.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, see. So you don't even realize because it's snuck up.
Yeah,
You know,
or
as
I'm
opposed
not
to-
even talking about like enough to where it could sneak up on you. I'm talking like just to get the blood because here's the theory behind microdosing. It's like why your brain reacts so positively to not a large enough amount of drugs to get you high. It's
Mhm.
because it's the chemical reaction in your brain is still pumping tons of blood to your brain. So
Sure.
it's like it's a what is it? It's a byproduct of of just taking a small enough amount of drugs to get the chemical reactions going in your brain to where there's a shitload of blood just going to your brain, and like you're like everything, like all the synapses are firing and connecting, and like like it's basically Adderall without taking some manufactured in a lab drug, and it's healthier for you, it's more natural, and your brain your brain functions better that way than on Adderall.
Right on.
Like you can focus, like your IQ skyrockets. It's like that's tested, which is the crazy thing. Like people microdosing on mushrooms all of a sudden are like doing like complex math way above anything that they like could do regularly. It's crazy. It's like so like imagine like if you're like man, if I could just sit down and finish this one thing, right? Like you microdose, like I'm not when you're like I've had a cat before. I'm like no, it's like you just nibble to get it into your bloodstream. Like I would just nibble.
So you mean less than a cap? Less
Yeah,
than like
man.
one cap or one stem?
I said, dude, I would nibble a whole mushroom for the whole week. And like I was just
okay.
go
That's
like
different.
literally like I was doing that when I was running my business, and like
I'm a glutton, I think.
as
I
soon
think I
no I would party too, but like when I was like running my business, I'd wake up at the crack of 3 p.m. and then I'd take a little nibble, and then yeah, and then like and then I would just fucking make money all day, and then my girlfriend, my then girlfriend, now my wife, would come home from school. She'd be like, "How's that?" I'm like, "I'm pretty good. Made like 10, 20 grand, you know, like whatever." She's like, "Oh, that's awesome. Like whatever." Like it was great. And then like, you know, and then like you come down to like being regular and you're like, all right, like it's like the pump from a workout, you know?
I think
like
part
where
of
you're
for
really
me-
into it, but you don't need to like work up to that like super like working out.
Right, overdoing it, and then it gets
Yeah.
nothing accomplished.
Exactly.
Part of it for me,
It's like
I
the
think
perfect
You
amount.
save that.
Yeah.
I've never gotten to that point ever where I've been like not regular. Like I think that's
Yeah.
part of why I like massive doses. I'm trying to break the machine a little bit. I think there's like a part of me that's trying to, you know, see
quit
how
for
far I
one.
can push it. You know what I mean? Like I've never.
I think like
I've
he
never
could
had
quit for a
bad
day
trip.
and then be able to start microdosing just because of his high volumes. you
Well,
know?
but again, like I've never had one of those experiences. Like I've heard people talk about like get transcendent. You don't know where you are. You're completely lost in the trip. Like
I'm not talking about like your party. Like I know what you mean. You like
I've eaten, like I said, like close to like an ounce or more of shrooms.
Yeah, man.
And taken massive doses of acid in the woods, on the beach, in the ocean, whatever.
the only time
and
I've
never been like
yeah.
goo goo gaga. I've always wanted. I'm like trying to see.
DMT.
I want to be able. I want to look off the
To
precipice.
push yourself.
I've done DMT, and again, I've had great experiences.
It can the closest thing I got with DMT was like I had a very like lucid dream.
Salvia to me was actually more intense
Yeah.
than DMT.
I had
Salvia
like
was,
I had a very lucid dream, and then another time on DMT I saw the fractals, which is nice. That's pretty cool.
yeah. To me, DMT was more visual, and then it was very warm and it was very comfortable. It wasn't very intense. It was intense,
Ketamine.
but not in
Oh,
not in a different.
I'm out on all of these.
have you overdosed on ketamine before?
Never done ketamine.
I've sold many of them, but never did.
That is.
Never done
I'm gonna
ketamine. Heard a lot of
I'm
stories
gonna
about it.
sound terrible right now.
Again,
uh,
that's your generation, though. But I know the people sitting on the couches doing the K-holing and
Yeah. Well,
everything
never.
back in my
Salvia
day.
to
I
me
out
was
on
the
that.
most intense and like transcendent.
yeah.
I didn't
Even
get
that,
into it.
I still knew where I
well,
was.
I didn't have a girlfriend. I wasn't that popular, so it didn't end up being a drug that I got in. But I saw everybody else did it
Yeah.
because that was the popular clique.
You know, I didn't get into it until I was in Texas. When I was in Texas,
I had ketamine because I worked at a
I
horse farm.
initially moved there, and I was
Look up
getting out of-
Yaba. Yaba's going to be the next biggest drug when it hits the United States.
What is that? That Russian shit? That crocodile? Turn you
No,
into a crocodile?
crocodile already
No,
hit.
I know. I'm talking
Yaba.
shit. But
Yeah.
no, so when I was in Texas, it must have been like 2008 or 2009, somewhere in there. And I actually was entertaining going into the Department of Corrections. I had had brain surgery. I had to stop fighting. I was still sparring. I was still traveling and still competing for people and stuff like that. But, oh, did we lose Casey?
Did we? Hello?
Oh, no.
I just looked up Yaba. It's meth and caffeine mixed together.
Oh, boy, that's a productive one.
Jesus. And it's Thai, which makes sense. Well, I hope he comes back.
Yeah. So, do you want to try and ring him again or see if it's...
I don't know if it'll let me. It says he's in call and connected. He can probably hear us.
All right, maybe it's like a
If
connection
Casey, if
issue.
you can hear us, hang up and then I'll try to call you back.
If you can hear the sound of my voice, you're on LSD.
Oh no. Well, he'll come back, I hope. Right now we've got his beautiful face frozen.
Oh, really? I
Right
don't
next
have
to us.
anything on my
Oh.
screen.
Oh, there he's
Oh,
gone. Okay.
Go ahead. Call him. Call him.
I call him now.
Call him. Call him.
I'm ringing him now. And we look all weird.
With no third man, we look weird.
Yes. Used to be able to go into studio mode here, see if I can.
Is it ringing?
It says it's ringing.
It's ringing.
There we go. All right. Well, now it's just you and me for a while.
No worries. No worries.
It
Well,
says
sorry, I
he's
was
in.
getting into.
It says he's in the call, but I don't see
Okay,
him.
maybe he'll zip up in a second.
He'll pop up.
Well, the story I was getting into was I was considering a career in Department of Corrections, so I had to quit smoking weed.
Mhm.
But at the time in Texas, salvia was completely illegal. You could buy it
Okay.
at the Quick Stop. You could buy
Yeah.
a beer and a little tub of salvia.
Okay.
So that was the first time I tried it. And I was like, once I tried it, I was like, this is fucking legal?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
How?
It was super fucking intense.
Yeah.
And so that was like my new little fucking fun little toy in Texas. And I remember I didn't like Department of Corrections. I was involved for like 9 months, and I was like, "Oh, this is terrible, the worst job ever. I'm not going to do it." And then I got back into like training with people and sparring for people and stuff like that. And then I was driving back down, and my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, was already flown back for a job, and I was going to be taking our dog and all our stuff. My dog got sick and passed away, and my grandmother suggested that I fly my grandfather out to drive with me because he was bored, and we actually became like good buddies on that trip. And on that trip, he just asked me, he goes, "Do me a favor, keep your reefer locked up in the trunk." And I go, "Hey, no problem," right? So I locked all my reefer up in a trunk. I didn't smoke any on the ride, but what I did have in the hotel room was a little tub of this stuff called Sticky Purple Salvia Double XL. And it was fucking potent as shit. And I was like, this is actually legal in Texas. And I bought it. And we were in a hotel in Tampa, because we were visiting family members the next day. And we had just driven in from Texas. And he was like, "You do that here?" And I go, "Yeah, why not?" We were in a roadside motel in fucking Tampa off the highway. And all I could imagine once I ripped the salvia was like, how many hookers have been strangled in this hotel room? And the whole trip was everywhere I looked in the room was like a dead hooker, like, "I was strangled here, I was strangled here, I was strangled here." And I was like, "Oh, I won't be doing another ripping here." And fucking, when I came back to, he was like, "You didn't look that comfortable." And I was like, "It was not."
It
He
was not
laughing
good
me.
at all.
He was like, "Why don't you have a fucking rum and coke instead?" And I was like, "In this case, you are
Yeah.
correct, sir." Fucking, but that was my set. And then a couple times I watched people do it and just go gone.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, Texas Jeff, who I've talked about before, he did salvia with me in my apartment in Texas. He kicked over my coffee table, and when he came to, I was like, "What the fuck did you kick over the coffee table for?" And he was like, "Buddy, I thought we were on a boat and we were pushing off the dock." And I was like, "Fair explanation. I'm no longer upset."
Yep.
Yeah. There was one time that I was on salvia that I imagined every threading of my carpet was a little arm carrying me across the floor. And I was just laying on my rug as I was being crowd surfed by millions of tiny little centipede hands.
My.
And in Texas in 2009, 2010, that shit was like, you go buy it at the Quick Stop, buy it at the Head Shop, go to the moon all day with it.
Oh man, I picked the wrong thing. Sorry, I'm trying to
What'd you
get a
pick?
cooler cut of us, but I guess I'll just leave it alone.
Well, anyway, we can start wrapping it up, or we can chit chat about other stuff.
Yeah, man.
Definitely get Casey's info to me though, so I can talk to him about his product.
Yes.
He seems like a smart, ambitious guy, and I'll be excited to pass his info along to somebody who can do something good with it.
Hell yeah, man. Like that's what I was telling you. Like that guy.
I love how much we've both enjoyed the guests that each other have brought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that has been
It's like we're
super
introducing are friends to each other that we know
Yeah.
are cool.
That we know are gonna like really, really click.
Yes.
Very nice. It's very nice. Like the first time Daniil started talking, and you were like, "Oh," and then, yeah, exactly.
Somebody
Same
else
with
that knows the
JoJo.
things.
Yeah. Same with JoJo, and even like Kevin. When we had Hunter and Mick on and stuff like that, and everybody just gets along so good.
We haven't had
in
Mick
that.
on yet.
We had Mick on.
Not Mick. No.
Yeah, Mick's been on with Hunter.
No.
Yeah, guarantee.
No.
Here, how much you want to bet?
Yeah,
Asian gambler.
Listen, I've got all of the episodes. I can check right now before we
Check
even
right now.
bet. I will bet. I got us in a good. We're like in a different window. So
Okay.
let me pull up our episode.
Now you can split focus. Now
Yes.
you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mick was
So
on
season
episode.
1 was Mike. Season 2 was not season. Episode 1 was Mike.
Episode, yeah.
Episode 2 was Kevin.
Yes.
Episode 3 was Marlon, Patrick, and Marlon, Patrick.
Marlon and Patrick. Yeah,
Uh,
that was a good long one.
am I wrong?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, for sure.
I am wrong.
Yeah.
Where's Mick though? I don't see Mick.
He was with Hunter.
Oh, it was with Mick
With
and
Hunter.
Casey. Yes, there we go. Damn, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
We're 15 episodes in.
Yeah. In a short
Crazy.
while.
I know,
With
right?
with hang-ups and stops and stuff.
Yeah, man.
And we'll be 20 in by the end of this week.
We will. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
Yeah.
what we're doing on the channel and what we got coming
I'm
up.
going on a little vacation with my fam, so we're going to be doing a push to
Yeah.
get a good few episodes out this week because we won't be around on our regular Thursday.
Okay.
So tonight, tomorrow night, Monday night, and Tuesday night, we have some fun guests.
Yes.
Casey was our first in this run. Tomorrow night is another friend of yours.
Yeah.
whose
Let's
name
start.
is-
Let's start with Tuesday and work our way back because of
Oh,
what we're doing.
Tuesday will be my brother, who's also a news correspondent, and
tomorrow. We've talked about him. We've talked about him
so
before.
he is one of the most interesting and intelligent people that I know, and he'll be on with us on Tuesday night. We'll have again JoJo on Monday night.
Great.
And he will be
great
talking
times.
about this push to normalize pedosexuality, as they're calling it, which
I'll-
is fucking pedophilia with
Yep.
a mask.
And I'll be doing a rant about that sometime
Awesome.
this week too.
Awesome.
And then tomorrow, though, we're gonna have my buddy Trevor on, and we're gonna. I want to try and get as many people as we can to watch it too, because like he watched one of my rants, right, and he reached out to me to do a podcast with him, and I said, like I already got this thing going on,
Sure.
and he was like, oh, that's cool, and I was like, well, I mean, if you still want to do a podcast, maybe you could like be on our
Come
network.
join us.
Come join
Sure.
us, right? So tomorrow,
Join us.
yeah,
Join
join
us.
one of us, one of us.
One of us.
Yeah. So tomorrow we're gonna have him on and see if we like gel, see if like
Yeah.
we're vibing with him. He's a really cool guy. Like I know him
Right
through
on.
Magic. We love the same like heavy fucking music, and he's also
Sure.
a musician. He's a really good musician.
Cool.
I fucking love all the bands that he's been in locally. Yeah, man. I think he will be, like, he's not crazy. He's not a crazy left wing person, but he will be the most. No, never mind.
Yeah, we've got
not.
a couple people who skew pretty left
Yeah,
on the show.
But I mean, like, he's
No,
not.
never mind.
Yeah, so I just like instantly went to one
I
person
know
in
who-
particular.
I know, yeah, I know.
I was
know,
like,
I know who-
never mind. No, nope. That person is much more left than Trevor.
By
Yeah,
far, by far.
yeah. His name's Trevor.
I think most people, honestly, are pretty in the middle, man. Like,
Yeah.
there's usually a couple things that pull them one way or another.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And like you said, I think I'm a bit of an anomaly in my neutrality.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
And,
You think
and maybe
you're
that's why
more
I'm a
left.
nice linchpin.
Yeah.
I think I'm more left because I think traditionally,
That's how you grew up.
yeah, growing up
Yeah,
was more
same.
like, in my family, I was considered more left because they were a lot very right, especially on my
Yeah.
dad's side, more conservative. Which will be interesting to talk to my brother about that because he's more left than me, and
But
he grew
he's
up.
still like.
Well, for
that's-
somebody who's left, he's right.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's the whole
Yeah.
thing. Because like
Yeah.
we've talked about this before. Like,
Well, that's what I think. I think most people just want to fucking live.
yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? Most people want to be left
Yeah.
alone, be allowed to be who they want to be, love who they
Mhm.
want to love, and most people don't want to give a fuck. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And again, the people that are outraged or upset or afraid of things like people who are transgender or things like people who are multiracial, I think these are people who are completely under-socialized,
Yeah.
who are living in places where they've never had an experience with any of these individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and they just are completely unaware that they're just like everybody else. That's the biggest issue. You know what I mean? Once people have an experience, if you've never met a gay person and all you know about gay people is shit you've been fed by people who also have not met gay people,
Yeah.
you're going to have a weird understanding of what it is.
It's
And so,
not an understanding.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not exactly. You're going to have a fucked up understanding.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like all I think everybody needs is to like have a friend. That's what this show kind of is about, where it's like have a friend who thinks different than you or is different than you or thinks the same as you but is different than you or thinks different than you but is the same as you. Like,
Well, I think what we're
it's
learning.
about realizing we're all together.
Yeah. Well, I think what we're learning is that like the pretty broad center spectrum of people that we've had on here,
Yeah.
like everybody thinks the same roughly, but is
Yeah.
just a different person than you. And I think that
Yes.
gets lost in like Facebook and social media is that like
A lot gets lost in text when
Yes.
you're not hearing somebody, and you know you get a lot out of hearing somebody's voice and understanding like the way that they're
Mhm.
coming across. Like Marlon and I have talked about that many another like one of my best friends, and we have opinions that are super similar and opinions that are super different. I think the thing about he and I that's super similar is our ethic. You know what I mean? Like we both have an old school ethic where it's like you treat people a certain way and you demand respect a certain way, and also if somebody is a brother to you, no matter what they believe, if they're a brother to you, they're a brother to you. Like, and it's like I love his friendship, I think, because we're so different.
Yeah.
Like me and Mike, we're really similar in some ways, and that's one of those things too, where it's like, oh, we're so similar in some ways and so different in other ways. Me and like, when I say me and Mike, I say me and you. You know what I mean? Like we have so many parallels. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then also so many differences.
Oh yeah.
And that's what makes our friendship such a cool, interesting thing, because I feel like we're learning so much shit from each other. I feel like every conversation. You know what I mean? Like, what's so awesome about it? Like, and I think it's one of those things too where just bringing each other's friends to the table, it makes us understand each other even better, and then everybody gets to join us on that.
Yeah, and
ride,
we're like
you know what I mean?
we're like friend merging. Sometimes like we already know the same people too, and it's funny the same people that we do know are like in that same mindset. You know what?
Yeah,
like
many.
What you were talking about, like a lot gets lost in text. It reminds me of the story I was telling my wife today that you told me. You and Mike Morrison were at his place of business, Propaganda, and some guy was talking about me on Facebook and my
about
profile.
Your profile picture.
Yeah, he was like, what did he say? He said, my profile picture is
He's
a
like,
black.
that guy's got the black baby. He just likes to talk shit and say racist shit. I was like, no, that's not just like, oh, black baby, that's his son. And he was like, what? And I was like, that's his son. Like, I didn't forget who it was.
And you said Mike too was there, like, yeah, man.
Mike was like, yeah, like fucking, you know, when Mike was
like, what the hell? Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Michael Morrison is the way with like 2 or 3 words he can shut down a whole fucking, not even with his physical imposition, because he's like vocally powerful even when he speaks. So he'll just be like, bah, 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 like three exclamation point words and shuts the whole shit down, because it's like hard to argue the blunt logic that he works with, because it's always thought out. You know what I mean?
Mike even said too, like, because I asked him about that, he's like, oh yeah. Then the guy asked me, is like, this guy is really like not a racist and stuff, and Mike's like, I just went ha, like at him like that.
Like, ha!
I just hot him,
loud,
I hot him and started laughing at him, and I was like, oh shit, like, I just think that's funny, like people that I don't know.
Well, people like to create a. There was a girl. I don't like to say
I'm an internet villain, Andrew.
But there was a girl
I love it.
who likes to. You're not though. That's the thing.
I know I'm not.
There was a girl who is in this group who Michael knows, and her posts are always. Mike. I've heard Mike say to her or seen him say to her in text that she's like one of the worst race hustlers that he knows.
I think I know who
she
you're
was
talking
like
about.
calling me a bro all the time in this thing that she was saying. She was calling people colonizers and stuff, and I was like, everybody's a victim of their birth in this country. Like, you can't call people who were born here colonizers. Like, that's not a fair distinction to make. And she was calling me a bro, and I was like, yo, if you're gonna call me a bro, like, at least if you're gonna call me a derogatory term, use the proper one. I'm a spick.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you want to get really technical, they call Cubans oyes or chicos.
Yeah.
So throw one of those at me if you want to admonish me, because that's all you're trying to do. I call you a bro. You're trying to sound like a white guy.
Yeah.
So I'm a spick, homie. Like I earned that. I walk around with the name Rodriguez, and I have to deal with whatever comes with it.
You guys have the
okay?
same last name too, right? If I'm not
I
mistaken
think
on this
I didn't
person.
I didn't know that they had that last name at the time. That was not their name.
Yes, I know who
On,
you're talking about.
On Facebook.
I have a Facebook. I have Facebook altercations with this person too.
This was the only time I ever had an altercation, and she said specifically to Mike, like, tell your bro friend, whatever.
Yeah. So she
like,
did the same thing with me
if
and Mike too. Yeah, she was like, "You're gonna let him call me a bitch?" And I was like, "I didn't call you a bitch. I said, bitch, please."
Which is a term.
Yeah, which is a term. Yeah.
But see, this person is like many people who like to
She's not like many
throw.
people.
Well, no, there's a lot of people who like to throw at
Not
you
this
a bar.
level.
Well, I don't know, and I don't associate, so I don't give a fuck. But what I'm saying is, a lot of people on the internet specifically like to throw a barb at you.
Yeah.
That they think is a socially acceptable one, and if you say something back, now you're attacking
How
them.
dare you? Yeah,
They clutch their pearls. So for me, I don't even throw, because I grew up being a big goon, a big physically imposing kid. So my mother used to tell me, like, you have to be nice. You're going to always be painted as the bad guy because you look like the fucking bad guy.
Yeah.
So for me, I never I rarely anyway go to name calling. I have to know a person. The only person I think I've really shit on hard is Eero. And me and him made up. We became, I think, closer friends because of that little falling out that we had.
Yeah.
And I want to have him on here. And what do you call?
We talked about that. Eero is a special podcast in person.
We do need to have that an in-person one, because that's, again, conveying so much more.
Yes.
You can have so much more come out of it.
I want that.
And I told him my idea for him with the podcast. I want it to be called Wine and
Wine. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I am going to contact him about when I'm going to be in town.
Yes, and
because I think he's in town right now as well.
And I want to give a little bit of a preview to that, because
and we can film that with minimal location.
Yes,
and all kind of shit like
I want to make sure that episode is really done. Rubin
well
Report.
Produced.
Yeah, you like
well
Dave
produced.
Rubin stuff and
sure.
Ben Shapiro,
Shapiro
stuff.
Yeah.
I want it that
bro.
level.
I
yeah,
fucking
of course
know
you know.
your
Yeah.
so good.
I
And
want
I'm here
that one.
Rogan. I'm on the Rogan end where I'm like, and we'll have a machine gun on the wall and a werewolf on the ceiling.
But the reason I want this one to be very highly
we build
produced.
a missile launcher out of Legos in our studio.
No, that'll be like when another one for when you're in town, when we'll do with Marlon and Hunter again. That'll be a good
you know
one
what I
for
would
fun.
like to do with Marlon, and even Hunter would be actually really great for that, is go to do some pig hunting or some rabbit hunting.
Can we finish the challenge that they were supposed to do while you're in town?
I mean, we can try if they want to do it.
Yeah,
Hunter
man.
probably still has the peppers.
Of course he does.
And I have peppers here that I can.
Yeah, either bring some just in case his are gone. He can't
well,
find
if they
them.
if they don't want to do it, whatever.
I mean,
we can actually make a show out of that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, make it like
Are we
a
still
Kenny
on,
versus.
Are we still on the air right now?
Yeah, we're still live.
All right.
But so
a behind the scenes view of what we
pretty
do
much.
after the show.
Yes, this is your
This
teaser.
is Patreon only.
Yeah,
this is what you get with Patreon.
With
folks.
Patreon. So
We
I
sit
want to
here
give a
and
little
pontificate
preview.
further.
I want to give a little preview to the people of why I want the Eero episode so so highly produced, because Andrew and I on that episode are gonna just kind of be moderators. Yeah,
sure.
because we're gonna have another guest on, my friend Ian.
Well, for all the things I disagree with Eero about, I have to give him credit for being one of the more politically aware and astute people. And although I don't always agree with his point of view, it is always thought out, and it is always considerate.
Yes.
Coming from his angle. And while I don't always agree or understand where he's coming from, I always appreciate the fact that he at least he's not coming from an emotional place. He's not coming from a dogmatic place in a lot of cases. Sometimes he is, but I think everybody is. But he is thinking, and it's opinion based on fact and logic based on what he's gathered.
Yes.
And that's why I appreciate his point of view very much.
So if we set this up to where you're center left, right, and Eero is left of you, right?
Yeah. And I would say you're center right.
And I'm center right. And my buddy Ian, the amount that Eero is left of you is the amount that Ian is right of me.
Right.
So they're literally, and here's the crazy thing, they know each other. So it's not
it's
not like we're just
oh wow
throwing them into a random thing.
Sure.
Why I want it so highly produced, and I want both of their audios to be crystal clear, right? So I can go through and make it so like even when they're gonna yell at each other. Also, that's just the thing.
I don't feel like Eero's a yeller. Maybe on
the exact opposite of Eero will make him yell, and Eero and the exact opposite of Ian will make him yell. Not yell like with violence, but passion. With passion.
Become impassioned.
Yeah,
Yes.
when they're passionately when they're passionately yelling at each other, I want the audio on them to be like so. That's why I want it to be produced higher, like so crystal clear. I can go through and like edit it, and make sure like that you can hear what both of them are saying, even when they're like yelling at each other. But like it's literally they represent not the extremes, but everybody like, and not the center like where we are, but the in between, right? And it's crazy when you're like, it's when the things that Eero says they're like coming from like a place of education, like they literally grew up reading the same books. Like they grew up like reading the same philosophers.
But developed separate philosophies.
Yeah, but
through the same
exactly
kind of
they both have this exact same information.
Well, it's going to be
the exact same historical references.
I don't want to over discuss it too because I want it to be.
Well, I'm just letting you like I just want to let the people know like we're not going into specific topics. Just like they're literally both like West Palm Beach guys.
Well, we can
grew up
introduce
surfing.
Some things that will generate the conversation.
They're both surfers. Yeah, they're both surfers from around here. Like they both went to like the same schools. They both have great educations.
There's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, they're both blonde-haired, blue-eyed white dudes from the same spot with the same education.
Sure.
With what like they just have the same sources, and they're like diametrically opposed. It's crazy. It's like, I love both of them. It's awesome.
Again, I think it's gonna be great because you're talking about. I don't know Ian, or maybe I do, because there's like been like you said, a few people where we're like, oh, this is my friend so and so, and I'm like, who? I don't know, and then I see them like, oh yeah, that's a nice guy. Yeah. So there's been quite a few of those between the two of us in our circles. But I think again, it goes back to like being respectful and just there's a lot for that.
Yeah.
So I think that's.
Well, Ian might be a little disrespectful because that's like he's from that circle of my friends where we're just like, fuck you, pussy. Like.
Yeah, but in person.
No. It doesn't matter with Ian. See. Ian is, the level of detached from reality that Eero is.
I wouldn't say he's detached from reality.
Yeah.
You think he's detached from reality?
Yeah.
Really?
Just the statements that he makes. The statements that he makes.
I think he may be insulated socially, like a lot of people are.
You can also reword that. No, not like a lot of people are.
I think a lot of people are insulated. Not
to the level that these two are.
I disagree. I think
not to the level of these.
Just in our friends' circles, they may seem more so because they're more politically aware and active. But if you think about who we know and who, there are so many people in our friends' circles who have very small, like, circles that they regularly circulate with. Like, it's just, it happens. Like, you become socially insulated, I think, a lot of the time. You work in this world, you do this, you're in this thing, you're in that thing. That's who the fuck you hang out with. You know what I mean? So I think that's what tends to happen with a lot of fucking people. You work in a corporate office, you're gonna hang out with people who work in a fucking corporate. That's who you're gonna be around. You know what I mean? Like.
So let me ask you this, because I feel like Ian is more like the males on your Cuban side of your family, right? Like your dad.
A little more machismoso.
No, like a little bit, but not really. Like
just like tough guy-ish.
No. I meant on the political aspect.
Oh, right. staunchly right wing.
Yeah, but not.
Yeah.
But
my dad's side of the family is staunch Republican.
Yeah. But
they love
he's
Ronald
not.
Reagan and George Bush.
I don't want. Yeah.
I can care about George Bush. He was the perfect president to have in the 9/11.
Yeah.
Because when they hit in the tower, he didn't say to us we have to be peaceful. He said we're gonna go to the fucking war. Like that's they appreciate.
So mix
Republican values, so to speak.
Mix your dad.
In my family, I'm like a leftist. They would say like when the first Obama election, I voted for Obama because I thought he was going to shut down Guantanamo Bay
I
and
know.
release
Yeah, and weed.
legalize weed.
And
I
then
thought
he
he was
didn't
going to
do
release criminals who had been incarcerated for drugs. He didn't do any of that shit. Broke my heart. But my family on that side was like telling me I was a communist
Yeah.
for voting for him, like
So,
a straight up communist.
Mix.
My dad was almost like talking about shooting me, like vaguely saying he would shoot me because you should shoot communists and shit like that. And I was telling him, like, you think you get to your gun, you old fuck? Like, we had those kind of conversations during that time.
So
that was, my mother had probably just passed away. What was that? Was the first Obama 2008?
Yeah.
So my mom passed away in March of 2008. So by November of 08, I was living at my dad's house and starting college at like 20 years old and just turned 20 that October.
Yeah.
So it was my first election that I could vote in, and the first time that I'd ever lived with my dad, and I was already a fucking adult.
Yeah.
So it was very like tense, and the only relationship that we'd ever had up to that point in time was like weekends and like 2 weeks in the summer kind of shit, and boxing. That was it.
Yeah.
And then at that time also he was like managing fight stuff I was doing, so there was a very tense political. We'll talk about that with my brother Mario on Tuesday.
All right.
And his mom also would like raid my room and she'd find like roaches and be like, "He's a drug addict." Like she would fucking panic and shit like that. Or find porno and be like, "He's sick in the head. He has sexual fantasies that are sick."
Well, the reason why I brought up
fat-titted girls. What do you want?
The reason why I brought up your dad, it's like my buddy Ian is like mixing your dad with JoJo.
Okay.
So like
JoJo's gonna be an interesting podcast on Monday, man. I really want to. He's really like
so
very into these pedogate stuff that's going on, and I'm very curious as to what is viable news and what is not. The names that seem to have been released so far with these documents are ones we've already heard: Prince Andrew, the Clintons, Schumer, all that kind of thing.
You know who's not in them? Trump.
He flew once or twice on the
plane. No, they're saying like, but like he wasn't at the island, but he would go over to Epstein's house.
He flew from like New York to Mar-a-Lago or something.
No, like on Palm Beach Island, he would be at like Epstein's house. And like the Jane Does in the documentation were like, they were trying to press them on him. They're like, did he ever come in and force sex on you? And they're like, no, he would just go there to eat the food. Like it's a real weird interaction with Trump going over to Epstein's island, not island, house.
Know. It's all speculation, obviously, but I think he's the type that for him, I don't think he would be into a kid specifically because he seems like the kind of guy who wants what he has, like the exact like perfect commercial version of beauty.
Yeah, the like Vogue model. Because he literally he bought his wife.
Every wife was that.
But like, this wife was literally a model. Yeah.
Well, as soon as they went, but even the ones before, what was the other one? Ivana Trump.
She wasn't like a supermodel.
No, she was like a socialite, like a beautiful socialite. You know what I mean? Like she was like a very beautiful.
Melania
woman.
Was literally.
Well, I think at that point he got to a certain age where he's like, you know what? I'm buying one. I don't want the problems that I have with the last one. Opinions. I'm paying for someone who does not have opinions.
But she's actually a great person. But
I'm not saying she's not. She showed her tits for money. That is what it is. And I'm not against that either, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you want to like everybody wants to paint these people as these humanitarians.
No, I'm not saying that. She's just
fucking listen. Nancy Reagan fucked a generation of kids with fucking just say no.
Do you know what
made all these kids dumb when it came to drugs?
You know what she did, right? Though, like
Nancy Reagan.
No, Melania Trump. Like everybody like gives her shit.
I don't give a fuck what she did.
No, it's actually
she sucked Trump's dick.
But no, it's related to the pedo stuff.
Oh, like, okay. The Creepo Gate.
Like she like her last couple of dresses, like the one that she wore, to the North Dakota thing.
Dresses.
Yeah, everybody like that hates Trump was like making fun of her dress. They're like, it looks like a child drew it. Yes, a child did draw the images that were on her dress. Childs that were victims of sex slavery that were freed. Like she's like she knows that like people in the fashion world still respect her. So like she's now instead of just wearing like big names, she's wearing stuff designed by victims of like pedophilia and sex trafficking. So like she's doing her own thing. Like
deep.
It's that's when I say like I feel like she's like actually a good person because like she's not coming out and being like, look at what I'm doing. Like,
sure.
If you you look it up, you're like, what is it? It looks like scribbles of people on this dress, and you're like, oh, These
I
were the
really, truly-
drawings of children sex workers that they clung on to, of like their parents, trying to remember what their
So
parents
fucking
looked
sad.
like. Yeah, that's what she was trying to put
So
out
sad.
there. It's crazy. Like,
I think though on a personal level, right? Most
Mhm.
people, the ones that aren't monsters, the people who don't want to hurt people and enjoy that. Most people that do fucked up shit do it because they're caught up in something. They're caught up in their life. They're caught up
See,
in.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think most of the time, or they think they're
Well,
doing something right.
mm,
Like a lot of these people who are
yeah.
rioting and shit, man. I think a lot of them probably think they're doing right, man.
Yeah,
And they're trying to.
no,
They're not. They don't think they're doing the wrong
100%.
thing. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. Yeah.
so like to me, it's like there was times where I thought I was doing the right thing and I was doing a fucked up thing. And I'm gonna look it back on. And you're a dad. We're gonna look back on things and be like, oh, I made the wrong choice there. I didn't do the right thing there. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's like that's what's fucked up nowadays. We don't give people room. That's what was so great about our guest tonight, Casey. He's a guy who went through it and came out better and tried to continue to improve. Like, and I think we don't give people a chance to like everybody jumped on Nick Cannon. Everybody jumped on Nick Cannon. And I think what he said was fucked up. But he's got to be allowed to say that shit, and he's got to be allowed to learn from it.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. Oh, I'm not saying that.
And that's why
Yeah,
the
was
post
just
that I
like-
made when that shit happened.
Yeah.
Dog the Bounty Hunter got back on TV after saying he was going to get buried in a slave cemetery. He apologized for dropping the
Yeah.
N-bomb. And so everybody gave him a chance again. So the other guy deserves the same shit. If he's going to go listen to a bunch of rabbis talk, bro, you're contrite. To me. You know what I'm saying? A dude who
They're not
married
rabbis.
a Jew and made a Jew. He brought a couple rabbis on
They're not.
Instagram and shit.
They're not.
I'm pretty sure they're rabbis.
Oh, when he was
Yeah,
apologizing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he talked to a couple rabbis and shit.
Those
Listen,
are.
what
I know.
more do
No,
you
no,
want?
no. I know those. No. The rabbis that he brought on
Uh-huh.
don't think the Holocaust happened. So
Well, I don't
Let's-
know their politics on that shit.
no,
I'll say this. I'll say this.
he got. He got
this. But
He got rabbis that aren't recognized by any, like Hasidic Jews are like,
Well,
no, these guys aren't rabbis.
Hasidic Jews don't like any other Jews that aren't Hasidic
No,
Jews
no,
either, though.
no, but they will at least be like, yeah, these people are Jews, these people are like,
Oh no, the people are they
Yeah,
they
they're
allow
Jewish.
people to- yeah,
but they're like, there's a very small group.
any Jew who denies the Holocaust is not going to be very fucking favorable, even to people like me who fucking love some Jews in his life. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah,
Like,
like,
if
the
you deny the
people-
Holocaust, you're a fucking asshole. Then
Yeah.
You know? But what I'm saying about Nick
Mhm.
Cannon in general
okay.
is that you got to be allowed to fuck up.
Yeah,
You got to be allowed to fuck up, and
definitely.
at a minimum, and somebody said this on Facebook, and I can't agree more. My buddy Rocky, he found out who the fuck signs his checks.
Yeah.
At a minimum, he found
Well,
out.
I mean,
as much as they talk about the culture mafia
yeah,
and the woke mafia and all that shit, he found out there's some old school mafia that still exists that goes back a little further and's got a little more
well,
fucking
just the people,
wop to play with.
just the people that sign his checks at that one show, because he's still on 6 other shows on TV. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
that.
but even still,
Also
even
got
still, it also
Mariah
brings up
money.
the thing that I like about it too, though, is that it also brings up the conversation of like, yo, anybody could fucking be fucked up and say some fucking racially fucked
Yeah,
up
yeah.
shit.
But
You know what I
people-
mean? Like,
So
at
my
a minimum,
problem
it
isn't
highlights how
my problem
fucked up
isn't
that
with
is what he
him.
said.
like with him having the ability to say that, or
Sure.
having the ability to learn from
No,
it.
I didn't think it was.
No.
I know you're a free speech advocate.
Yeah, my problem is the people that were defending.
And you're not an authoritarian either.
No, yeah, do what you want. Let people know
That's
how
where
dumb
I think
you are.
people connect more is not whether you have left or right values, is whether you have libertarian or authoritarian values at your core. I
Yeah.
think if you have libertarian values, you want to leave people the fuck alone, and if
Mhm.
it's in your yard and I can't see it from my fence, I don't give a fuck what it is as long as you're not hurting nobody.
Here's my problem with what he said is that number one, he said 2 things. He
Mhm.
said a lot of racist shit against white people that he said I'm not apologizing for.
Right.
And then number 2, he said a lot of racist shit against Jewish people, which then he apologized for, like you said, because those are the people that pay him. You know,
That's where he
literally
got
his
the most
bosses are
blowback
Jewish.
from.
Yeah,
But you're not going to
But-
get blowback from white people because white people don't exist.
white
either.
people weren't.
White people aren't a
No,
thing.
listen.
You're French or you're
Oh my
Irish.
God!
or
Let
you're
me
Lithuanian.
get
I'm
to
sorry,
my
go
point.
ahead.
So
You know my rants are
I know.
powerful, Michael. You need to edit them together.
So, it's like I said, it's not even my problem that he said racist shit, because I was like, cool, people are see that he's racist. My problem is that black people are saying like, no, the racist shit he said was right and it's not racist. This is my problem.
That should be.
With,
that should allow.
that's my
assault to,
problem
like,
with the whole
that
thing.
should-
Not him. It's that people
You're
are
talking
like,
about his supporters.
yeah, they're like, what do you mean? He
Well,
didn't
like
say
Professor
anything that
Griff,
wasn't
first
true.
Of all, Professor Griff, the guy whose show he was on, Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz had a great conversation about it, where Charlemagne basically was saying, like, I think we're not talking about a guy who's racist. I think we're talking about a guy who's going to placate whoever he's in front of. And I think that's what he was doing in that case, because Professor Griff got kicked out of fucking,
Yeah, his show
Fear
too.
of a Black Planet. Chuck
Yeah.
D, fucking what's that band? Fucking
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy for being too goddamn militant. If you get kicked out of Public Enemy for being too militant, whoa, maybe you got a problem.
Yeah.
So, like, he's in front of that guy. He's gonna placate them. He gets in front of these rabbis, and now he wants to talk about the struggle of Jewish people.
Yeah.
I think he's a fucking panderer,
Well,
out and out. I
that's
think he
literally
grew
his
up-
whole career.
Well, I think that's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
grew up in Hollywood in a society where you get by on pandering, and he became an expert at it. So in that room with his fucking turban on, trying to act like he's a Sikh or something,
Yeah.
he fucking, fucking is gonna spit that shit. And then on the other side, when he's with a bunch of, liberal Jewish guys that are like, reps in Hollywood or whatever, he's gonna spit that shit. So he's just a fucking panderer. He's a politician,
Well, my
like
whole
every other fucking buddy in that business.
I mean, he literally introduced a bunch of people, like, and this is why people on Facebook don't like me. He introduced a lot of racist black people to, what's his name, Farrakhan?
Nation of Islam, yeah.
No, just Farrakhan
Mm-hmm.
as a person who
Well,
is.
Farrakhan and Sharpton are like pretty rabid anti-Semites.
Well, it's not even that they're anti-Semites. It's Farrakhan, like, Sharpton is an anti-Semite, right? But he's not a racist, right? Or if he is, he's not openly.
He's a race hustler.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, he's not openly racist against white people.
I think he's like racist for profit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. He says
he's a hustler.
He's a money
hustler.
guy. Yeah. So, but Farrakhan is a 100% racist, and he speaks to the racist in black people that makes them want to
but I mean,
join
it's like
him.
he's just like, to me, he's just like a David Duke. It's
No,
like
no,
whatever,
but
you know what I mean?
you don't understand the people. The people that like him don't know that they like him, and they're like the racist white guy that won't say anything, that for some reason doesn't know there's like a clan, right? And then like he's always thought clan thoughts, like like this type of person. And then all of a sudden they see the clan, they're like, oh wow, yeah, I can say whatever I want.
I found my niche.
Yeah, there's way more black people that are thinking like that, and now the Nick Cannon thing has shown them their clan. Does that make
How
sense?
can you figure? That's so anecdotal though.
It's too many.
I think it's comparable. I think it's totally comparable, man. I know. I grew up around too many black people and know too many black people.
Well, I'm not saying the average black person. I'm saying
that's what
there
I'm saying.
wasn't
I
a
think it's
home.
comparable.
There wasn't a home for them before.
Sure, there was, man. People talk shit everywhere.
No.
Look.
No, I mean,
Look,
like,
I grew up in South Florida. I grew up around.
as far as a group, I mean, like.
There's always been the Black Israelites. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, but people weren't. He basically was like, "Hey, white people, if you're racist against black people, there's the KKK." And white people that are like, "There's a thing for me?" Like they didn't know that shit. He was basically just like, "Hey, man, yeah, if you hate fucking white people, this is the guy's group to go to. These are the people to go to, so you can hate white people with us."
I just don't see how it's any different.
Because they're not. Because what you focus on in America when you think of racist groups are like the Klan, like the KKK,
skinheads and
skinheads, Nazis, right? You don't think when you hear black Israelites, you're like, oh, that's black Jewish.
I think racist people.
But I mean, like the average person, when you hear like black, white, Spanish, whatever, Asian.
I don't know. I think most
when
people
you hear
I know,
black Israelites, you don't think, oh, that's the black KKK.
Most people I know, whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're fucking Latino, Asian, whatever, right?
Yeah.
If you are gonna stand on a street corner and yell and hold signs, most people I know are not gonna think of you as fucking sane. You know what I'm saying? To me,
I really wish that
when
was
I
the
think
case
of the black Israelites, I think of 4 or 5 dudes on the street being like, And then the day's gonna come where y'all are our slaves and da 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 and talking shit and saying racial slurs. That's now maybe I'm more worldly or some shit and more seasoned.
Yeah.
And I've seen black Israelites yelling fucked up shit at white people as they walk by.
Yeah.
And really, really going hard on Asians. Black Israelites
hate us.
some Asians.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Hate
why
the
I.
fuck out of some Asians.
That's why I
Honestly,
hate
though,
the black Israelites the most. Really.
Well, because they fucking shit on Asians hard, bro. That's reasonable, you know, that you feel that way. So to me, that's why when black people are like, man, fuck white people sometimes, I don't get offended by that personally. A, because I'm Latino, even though I got light skin, but B, because for a lot of black people, like for Jews, Patrice O'Neal said this a long time ago. For Jews, they can hate that mustache. Yeah. They have a figure. They have Hitler. They have a figure to be like, that's the fucking guy. There's millions of other anti-Semite leaders that existed throughout history. There's all kinds of other persecutions that they faced, but that guy is a symbol for all that vitriol, right?
Yeah.
Other ethnicities don't really get that in as many cases, right? Mm. So with black people, it's like this feeling of like whiteness is the other, whiteness is the enemy, I think, in a lot. And then again, I'm paraphrasing what Patrice O'Neal said years ago. And he was saying essentially like we need a monolith to point at and say like that's the motherfucker that we can point that aggression and hatred
They do
toward.
that now.
Well, maybe that's a good thing.
Do you know who they do it
No.
to?
Who?
That's just Donald Trump. Yeah.
Donald Trump. But I think it balances itself out, man, because looking back, truly.
No, they.
I live in Georgia. I know black people who love Donald Trump, dude.
No, but I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know.
Shit, Mike Morris loves Donald Trump. That's our boy, and he's fucking one of the most right wing dudes I know.
But the people that choose to make Donald Trump the monolith for like fuck white people, call him worse than Hitler.
Yeah, dude, but I think people who fucking know anything recognize that as fucking ridiculous.
But there's not. We were talking about this, how like a lot of people aren't educated anymore.
It's true.
It's one of the craziest
I do say a lot of the time we give too much credit to,
man.
the average.
Once again, like I feel like in this case you are giving too much credit to people because
I can see that too, honestly.
Yeah, I don't get I get
what I'm saying though is that
we were talking about this earlier though, like when I go to a party.
Here's what I'm saying. Growing up in the South, as many times
as
I've seen, well, growing up in South Florida, there are pockets of the South though, and there are neighborhoods that are in the South. There's Davie and there's West Dade and shit like that. There's spots, right? So like, but growing up in the South, and also like I said, at 16, I ran away from home. I drove.
You live in the South now.
I do live in the South now.
So
as many
12 hours north of me, and you live in the South.
As many times as I've been in neighborhoods where it's been like, hey, what are you doing here, white boy? Oh, you're cool, you're Latino, we're not going to fight you. In a black neighborhood, I've been in white neighborhoods where my little redneck friend has been like, hey, don't say your last name.
Yeah.
Or also I've seen signs that say like, black boy better be out of town by dark and shit like that in neighborhoods out here.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Driving through southern Georgia, driving through northern Florida and shit like that, and fucking seeing a fucking cherry picker truck on the side of the highway hanging a big red flag and a noose under the rebel flag, and it's like, well, what the fuck is that message? I think it's pretty clear, right? So like, to me, it's the same bullshit, man. It's hate. It's stupid. I don't understand it. And again, like I've talked about, I'm now so much more comfortable. These conversations, honestly, help me become so much more comfortable in my position with the black and white understanding in America. Is that I don't understand it. I don't need to understand it. I don't care.
Well, back to the original thing with Nick Cannon, there were a lot of people that didn't know. Like I said, like they could go join the Black Israelites.
Really though, you think?
Yes, man.
How do you figure that? Like Muhammad Ali was in the like.
No, but so the average fuck white people black guy, right, or black girl is like.
I gotta be honest with you. Every black person that I know knows who the fuck Farrakhan is. Like that, he's like a known person.
Yes, but like, he's not seen as that, like the black Israelite type leader person.
That's always what he's been.
I know, but
he's always like, as long as he's been.
I'm trying to figure out a way to explain how he's seen by the black community. He's seen like they're Alex Jones, but is not wrong about a lot of stuff.
That's how Alex Jones is seen as.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is this: like
No,
I
but
can't-
Alex Jones is known. I don't know, man. I'm having trouble explaining it. I think.
well, Alex Jones is considered a fringe person. You're saying that Farrakhan is considered like
No.
a black leader in many cases.
Yeah.
But see,
Like,
that's the thing too.
like
A lot of times, dude, white people decide who the fuck the black leader is, and that doesn't make any goddamn sense to me either.
no.
Like white media decides that shit.
No, so the average black person that says fuck white people that knows who Alex Jones is very well and who Louis Farrakhan is very well, they'll be like, yeah, no, Alex Jones is just crazy, and Louis Farrakhan is just right when he says his race.
Yeah, but there's people on the other side that feel the same way about the converse. The difference, I think, is that I don't think Alex Jones actually says that much racist shit.
No, he doesn't say any racist shit. He just says crazy conspiracy.
Yeah, I think he just says crazy, wild shit, and sometimes offensive.
The only
Sandy Hook thing.
people he's racist towards are aliens and interdimensional beings that want to
He's
tear
a little, he
that
gets
drinks the
he
blood
gets
of
a little
babies.
crazy with Muslims and shit too, I think. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying though is like, as long as I can remember, in my short 35 years of life, I've known who Minister Farrakhan is, and in the circles socially and peripherally and like professionally that I've grown up around, people know who the fuck that guy is. He's as visible in the public eye as like Al Sharpton. He's associated himself with people like Muhammad Ali, and he's one of
The
Malcolm
media,
X.
the media
He's
doesn't
one of those
paint
guys
him
who
as a black
is like a tick.
supremacist, which is what he is, though.
Well, the media has a thing where they don't paint anybody as a black supremacist a lot of
Yeah,
the
I
time.
know.
That's an issue
So-
that's rampant in the media. But at
Let
the
me
same
explain this to
time,
you. So when I try to explain to people like why the things Nick Cannon was saying is racist and the people that he's talking about are like racist, these are like
Mhm.
level-headed, like black friends of mine that are getting swept up in like the whole America's racist thing. They're like, I didn't think anything that Nick Cannon said was racist, and I'm like, that's a little extreme. Like,
yeah,
like,
but
you're not an
again,
extreme
if
person.
somebody said to me that I would agree that that's extreme. To say that nothing he said was racist, that's
But they're
ridiculous.
they're not extreme people, is what I'm trying to tell you. They're
Sure.
not. They're
Well,
like
yeah, I get what you're
regularly level-headed, and he's like. So let me ask you this: if there's a white guy doing like a call to arms for people to join the Klan, how would you feel about that? Because that's
Yeah, I mean,
that's
this-
like that's a parallel to me.
But was he making a call to arms? How do you figure?
Yeah, man, he's
I
calling.
think he was putting his foot in his mouth, but he wasn't saying like, "So we need to do this or that to them." He was
He
just
was
coming
saying
up
the
with
way
some
you
bullshit.
treat. Yeah, he was saying like they're closer to animals and savages, and this is how you treat these types of like animals. You know, like, I mean, that's he was dancing
When did he
around
say
it.
this is how you treat? When
He
did he
was
say
dancing
that?
around it.
Yeah, but come on.
He
man.
was dancing around it, but the same way a white racist dances around it on public media too. Like, I don't know, man. Like,
I'm not saying it wasn't racist.
to me.
I'm not saying it wasn't racist. What I'm
But
saying
he's
is I
like,
think it's
but
the
he
same
like
shit.
he like woke up black racists, which I'm not okay with. Like I said, he should
If
be
you were
able
already
to.
a black racist, you already knew
I
about
know.
that shit. Like that's what I'm saying.
No,
like,
no, but they
you
didn't.
don't wake up a
They
racist.
didn't.
Racism isn't like a recessive gene.
No, like they didn't. I didn't say like like that. Like
If you,
they
but if
didn't
you-
know about those people.
Listen. If you
In my experience,
hate somebody, it is 2020. It is the internet. If you like
they're not-
some weird fetish, fringe sex,
Okay.
you can jerk off to it tonight. All you gotta do is type in some shit on the internet about what you don't like, and you'll find some groups. Like you can find on Facebook
so this
right
is gonna
now.
sound very Democrat. Black people don't know how to go get IDs.
Oh, come on, dude. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
But-
that. It's not true, man.
No, I'm not
It's not true.
No, I'm
How
not.
come all black kids I know love anime? They found that shit on the internet, homie. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So racist
my
racist
9-year-old,
white
my
people.
5-year-old can look up fucking
Have
what
you
she wants
have
to
you
watch
been
on Netflix.
have you been to like a white racist website?
No,
they
I've never
look
been to
like-
any racist website.
They look like remember
crazyshit.com or WorldStar, if you call those racist.
no like do you remember? I don't know if you ever did this in high school where they like showed you how to make your own shitty web page, so you copied and pasted pictures?
Nah, in high school we played Oregon Trail, and I used to. Mr. Rafa was our computer teacher. He was a really nice guy, but he was really mousy.
No, not in high school. You didn't play Oregon Trail. You played that
Junior
shit in
high.
grade
That was
school.
junior high. Yeah, that was
I'm
junior
saying
high.
like high school.
I didn't go to class in high school. I fucked girls, man.
Okay, yeah.
I used to fight. I used to fight.
Well, I
and
mean,
smoke
okay,
weed.
so like,
I was not a. I was
so
not
like
a
if you
student
cut,
in high school. I was
so
an
like
animal.
if you cut and pasted.
I attended 3 classes because I enjoyed them.
Listen, like if you cut and pasted like terrible like GIF flames
Yeah.
and like put your favorite band on there and it just had a white
Like a
background.
MySpace page.
Yeah, but worse. That's
Right.
what racist web pages look like because they don't
Oh, okay.
they don't
yeah,
do
sure.
they don't do the it sounds real weird, but like racists don't really do the internet. It's really weird. So like
There's gotta be a good few out there. That
there's
do
there's
that.
like yeah, there's like I think there's like one solidly designed clan page and they're like real weird. And like Richard Spencer's page is clearly done by a web designer. But then like what I'm saying is like that. So my
You know a
experience
lot about racist web pages.
yeah,
Mike.
I live on the internet. I've been to every part of the
Well,
internet.
what I'm
So-
saying though,
No,
the bottom line is, I think if you are a racist, like a fucking burning you
and I
heart,
understand
I
what
hate
you're
so-and-so.
saying.
Like, you know about the racist
I-
shit. That's what you like. That's what you're into. I like MMA. I know a bunch of MMA stats.
So-
I like stand-up comedy. I know a bunch of stand-up
Yeah.
comedians. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you find what you like.
But there where people are going now that are racist are
Mm-hmm.
YouTube to find like their person, you know?
Yeah, but
And
you could
and
say
that's
that about
not like
anything.
yeah, and the YouTube algorithm automatically steers you away from that type of stuff, whether it be
Mhm.
like racism towards black
All
people,
I'm saying
white
is that
people,
anybody
Spanish,
that
Asian.
he theoretically woke up, right?
Yes.
They would have been
Now
woken
they're
up,
now they're
but
going
they
to
would have
look
been
up
woken up
Farrakhan.
anyway because they already
Yeah.
like racist shit.
I mean, but like he sped up the process. Now they're going to look up Farrakhan.
What
Now
what
they're
does that mean?
now
he was
they're
just
gonna do that.
he was just the person in media that they saw that did it. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the case. But what I'm saying is, I
That's
don't
the
think
part I
any
don't like
different
about
than
it. Once
any-
again, I don't think he shouldn't have been able
I don't
to,
think
to
it's
say it.
right or good.
Yeah.
But it's like it's all the same shit. All I'm saying is like, all I'm saying is
I like we're having a disagreement live.
yeah. Well, it's important. It's good to
Yeah.
have disagreements, healthy disagreements.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that it's no different. It's just that's all I mean. Like it's no
Yeah.
different than any other bigot saying bigoted, racist shit. Like
Yeah.
so, if people and part of the thing too, man. Like frankly, let him be racist. Like I don't care. Like
Yeah.
nobody should give a shit. If you don't like what he said, don't patronize. I don't know anybody who's into Nick Cannon, frankly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, maybe my grandma, like on The Masked Singer, she might be like, "Oh, he's a
yeah,
handsome,
that's right.
he's
He's
a
on The Masked
handsome
Singer,
young
too.
man." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
that's it. But if you don't like his shit like that, so I use the same logic that I use in reference to the far left and far left thought when people want to cancel people for shit they said
Yeah.
on that fucking thing too, man. Cancel him by not buying his shit or liking his shit, but leave him the fuck alone. If he wants to be like, fuck white people
I didn't
every
say
day
that.
on Instagram,
No,
I'm
I
just
didn't
saying,
say
I
that,
don't
yeah.
give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. And I think people should practice more not giving a fuck about people like that because I think the way
I'm
you
just saying
destroy
what I have
a thought.
Yeah,
What's
why
that?
I'm just trying to say like at what specifically I have a problem.
I'm not
with
saying you're
that he's
wrong
saying.
for having a problem with that
Yeah.
by any means. I'm just saying it's no different than anybody being awakened to any other shitty thing
Yeah.
in any other way. And if you're going to be awakened to it, like,
Oh, I
I don't
figured
think
it.
you
Yeah.
play GTA and start killing hookers. You know what I mean? If you're going to
Yeah,
kill
yeah,
hookers,
yeah.
that's something you're going to do anyway. So if
I
you're going to
figured
be
it out.
a racist,
So
you're
that
going to
the
be a
people-
racist anyway.
Yeah, the people that he woke up aren't the younger black racist kids. It's like some of the older, not old, because you know what's crazy? Like I don't know a lot of old black people that are like straight up like have ever said like fuck all white people. Like maybe the
Most
old
older
guy.
people in general are more conservative, even if they're
Oh,
technically Democrats or whatever.
I mean, no, older white people are pretty.
Well, depending on where
Pretty
you are, bro.
racist.
Not around here, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Like, around here, that's the thing. Like Atlanta, I love it. It's so mixed up.
I mean,
Everybody's
it's
together.
easier to find an older racist person than it is to find an older racist black person.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll just stick with that. So anyway,
Yeah. Fuck
so
it.
like people.
dude, there's a shop out here that's like an old
people
Confederate
Casey's
shop.
age, black people Casey's age, and like
Mm-hmm.
to 50, right? That are young enough still to be like fuck white people that don't
Mhm.
really internet, you know. that have like, because there's a lot of people that are like our age to like 55 that are like your level of tech savvy. There's a lot of them, right?
Sure.
And like, so they don't,
But I go on the internet, you know what I'm saying?
but they don't. I'm not saying just black people. I'm saying like older,
People
like
in general, of an age
yeah,
group.
that's it's really weird. Either you're like on the internet as much as we are, or not at all. You're like nope.
Mhm.
They're like nope, nope. So when somebody comes out that's in the public eye that gets into the media, that shows them like, hey, no, there's a place for you now. They can be like, hey, like to their like brother that's like as young as Mario, be like, hey, show me how to use this internet box, like how do I'm
Right,
looking for
right.
Louis Farrakhan, and they'll be like, why do you want to look him up? Yeah, here's his stuff. Like they don't know either. Like their younger brother or like
Mm.
older kid might just be like, that guy's a racist. That's weird.
I just think
Why do they want to look that up? And they'll
that's
like
the
take him
case with
there.
anything, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna be awakened to something, you're gonna be anyway. Like, so I just
Yeah,
think like
I
at a
guess.
minimum, if they saw that episode of Dr. Griff's fucking show,
No, it wasn't that it was
there-
an episode. It was just on TV. Like that was the thing. It was even on TV. So like
it was on TV only once it got picked up off the internet.
yeah, but like they weren't. They
It was a
didn't. They
podcast.
that's when they found out about it.
Right,
the
right,
people
right.
that
What
just
I'm
watch
saying
TV.
is, what I'm saying is like, for that anyway, if you watched that show, you already probably fucking feel that way. So maybe
Not his show. That's what I'm
maybe
saying.
the
That's
no,
not.
well, no, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
what I'm leading to is maybe the outcry.
Well, the people on his that
Again.
watch his show are all in on that already. So
Right,
it's
that's
not
what I'm
even.
saying.
I'm not even
So
talking
that's what I'm
about them.
saying.
Yeah.
Maybe that is just another example of why this outcry culture is so fucking detrimental, because we start to grab on to these headlines, you know what I'm saying, rather than whatever the real situation is. So I just think
Keep in
at
mind
the
though.
end of the day,
I want anybody that's watching this to know, like, if a fucking stupid white supremacist came on TV and started saying that bullshit, I would say
Yeah.
the exact same
it's
shit.
that's what
Let
I'm
him-
saying too. Though. It's
Let
the
him
same
fucking
shit.
let him fucking stick his
Same
foot in
shit.
his mouth so everybody knows he's a fucking thing. The only thing is like like the fucking KKK is more known, like
Yeah,
it's
well,
taught
see-
in history books.
Again, man, I grew up
Yeah.
in South Florida and in the South, like whatever you want to say, like, but like, I've heard everybody be racist.
Yeah.
Every fucking buddy. Like, there's nobody no group that I can say like, oh no, they never. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
man.
I've heard everybody be shitty, and it's like I've heard Latinos be shitty about me because they thought I was white because I didn't look Latino enough or whatever the fuck, and I've heard black people be shitty about white people because they know I'm Latino and they feel like I'm with them. I've heard white people be shitty about black people because they think I'm a white Latino, so I'm on that
Yeah.
end of shit. Like, it's fucking everybody's an asshole. Like,
Mhm.
I'm completely jaded to the idea that like somebody's gonna be the righteous side.
Yeah.
No, man, it's all fucking work.
You know what's
dude.
crazy? That
yeah,
the
there's
people
no-
that are like the super SJW people that are like, we're good, you're bad.
Yeah.
They're
When I learned-
they're doing the thing that
I've
they're
been learning-
describing is bad.
I've been
and it's
learning through my
fucking
life.
mind blowing. They're just so blind and so like adamant in following the thing that
Yeah.
their 25-year-old professor told them
So
that like
for me,
they don't
I
see
am
that they're doing the same
constantly-
thing.
well, I'm constantly learning how much of an anomaly the way that I was raised is in a lot of cases, specifically in regards to my elderly Italian grandparents. They were always so open and kind and friendly to everyone. I never heard them utter a racist fucking thing in my, and it's like, I've got a lot of other friends who have Italian grandparents, you know what I'm saying? I've heard some shit. Like, even like
Yeah.
cousins of mine or like relatives of mine who said, but my grandparents have just always been so open for everybody and kind to everybody and friendly to everybody that like growing up, I did not realize what kind of racial tensions existed out there and how commonplace certain racial shit was, right? And so
Yeah.
like, I had friends who've been like, my grandparents would be cool with me coming over at dinner, like, and it's like, what do you mean? Like, I just don't understand. I was so lucky, you know what I mean? So like, when you talk
Dude.
about like this racial shit, I'm coming from a place of like, it never touched me in my life. Now again, I've heard all the shit and I've seen ugliness and seen racism on
Yeah.
a lot of different angles, but growing up in my household,
Yeah.
it missed me. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, on my dad's side now, the Cubans,
Yeah. No, that's all it is. Yeah.
It's Cuban and then everybody else,
Mhm.
and so a little different. But like the people who predominantly raised me, man, like it missed me, dude. So like for me, with Nick Cannon saying that shit, and I don't think I realized this because the people that raised me were hard, but they were also like really empathetic. They
Yeah.
also really had a lot of empathy for people, and I didn't even know what that term meant until I was a grown person. So like looking back, oh well, he said it, but this that they always gave people the benefit of the doubt. They always
Yeah.
And to me, I think on a personal level, Nick Cannon's not going to step on no white baby. You know what I'm saying? Nick Cannon's not going to kill no Jew. He's saying some shit to placate somebody. He's trying to endear himself to somebody. He's a person who is grown up in a culture where what you do is
He's a child star, so
yeah,
man.
You pander in that world.
One thing that like really gave me hope is that like when he said all that stuff, a lot of like activists and the average like I don't know like black person was supporting him still, but there are like black celebrities that are like, oh, y'all didn't know Nick Cannon was a racist or whatever, and
but
then
it's like one of those things where it's like
no, like
everybody I know who's like, come on, dude, that guy's a fucking like, you know what I mean? I don't know anybody who thinks Nick Cannon is their spiritual leader. You know what I'm saying?
No, but see that the thing is like I do, but what I'm saying is, yeah.
Well, let's name names so they can be scrutinized into leaving the country because that dude was in Drumline. Like, come on,
Yeah,
like what?
exactly.
But that's like going to Corey Feldman.
What I'm saying is,
spiritual beliefs.
When Cat Williams, who very outspoken, like on the black activism level, where he's like he kind of doesn't like white people, says like y'all didn't know Nick Cannon was a racist, and then like
Cat Williams. See, that's the thing too. It's like one of those things where like that gets conflated. I don't think he doesn't like white people. I think he's on that Muhammad Ali shit of like,
no.
We should have our black shit.
Yeah, I was
just allowed to do our black shit, which I think
he's like being
from a Cuban
in a
place.
strange.
Like I think people should get to that.
Yeah, he's like in a segregational positivity stance.
Which it's not even like segregation. It's like, see, a guy like him
gets confused with racism.
Right.
And like I said, I'm not saying he's a racist. I'm just saying.
Muhammad Ali had that thing of like, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying, Muhammad Ali had that thing of like, no, I want a black neighborhood and a black school and a black grocery store and a black restaurant and I also want you as a white person to want to come to the black neighborhood to experience the black culture in its blackness so you can enjoy that shit. And I think that gets confused with wanting to make something superior rather than to just give it its own fucking shine.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people conflate that.
How come you get a Chinatown? How come you get a?
But
you know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is a lot of people conflate that with Cat Williams, right? As like superiority. And when then people like know that, right? And when he says like y'all didn't know Nick Cannon was a racist, like like that's some shit, you know? Like other celebrities are like, really? You're like why do you think Mariah like dumped him because she's half white? Like all this shit, like celeb. You know what? One thing I love.
It's important to let people fucking fuck themselves.
Exactly. One thing I love though about Nick Cannon is that he's like allowed to be a part of like the black celebrity community as long as he understands that anytime he comes into contact with another black celebrity, they are going to shit on him. Like even before this.
Well, he's one of those guys
before
it's almost like he has his fame not because he's super talented, but because he did his time. Like he spent the years in the machine.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And literally like almost every other black celebrity had to work for what they got, you know? And they shit on him.
Didn't he even try to start like some beefs with some rappers recently? And they just were almost like, dude, what are you?
And they're like,
you know what I mean?
You're a child. And he's like, I'm a man. They're like, no, you're a child.
But it's almost like one of those things where the vibe was almost like, what are you doing, guys?
Yeah, exactly.
This is a bad move.
No, but he had his own show for a while that was
Wildin' Out.
Wildin' Out, yeah. And I love how like it ended up just stopping, and I'm pretty sure he stopped it because everybody just started, even on like his own team or whatever, just started ripping on him. Like, and
he's very rippable, man. He's very rippable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, any child star is very rippable. Like when you've been getting your ass kissed from the age
white
of 7
child stars were ripping on him that would go on the show. and
Well, they also
everybody
know the
would just
game,
be like,
right?
"Oh damn, yeah." But
They also know the game.
like it was crazy. Like
Also, too, if it's your show, you better have a good sense of humor about getting your
yeah,
lunch
but like
eaten,
I
you know what
think
I mean?
for like the last season, it was just turned into everybody shitting on Nick Cannon for 30
Again,
minutes, and
he's
it's
too
great.
rippable. He's
He
too. Have you
is,
heard
man.
like some of his rap? Like it's not good.
It's
man.
not
Like,
good. Yeah,
it's not good.
James Gordon does better raps.
Well,
And
it's one
that
of
guy's
those
a
things.
fat British guy that's
It's one of those
pretty
things
gay
where it's like,
looking.
all right, you clearly are getting this because of who you know, not what you can do, man. Like
hmm
it's like our buddy who has that studio, who we asked him about like somebody he was recording, and we were like, "Does they got it?" And he said something along the lines of like, "Well, they have enough money to do like as many takes as
Oh,
they
yeah.
need to do to
To
get,
get it.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so it's like that's what
That's
it's
him.
about,
That's
dude. It's
him, yeah.
green.
I
Dollars
just-
make it.
Yeah, but I'm saying
So
that
like I
gives
said
me
in my
hope
rant,
though.
bro,
I was-
whose life matters? Whose life matters? Who's got money? That's
Yeah.
whose life matters. And people want to sell you on an idea that they're going to support a thing because it's fashionable or whatever. Like that's the thing that I feel bad about Black Lives Matter because I think a lot of people think it's going to like do something for them when it's
It's just the
a
same.
slogan people are
yeah.
trying to make themselves feel better about
Yeah.
shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's
But
just
that's-
a group doing its own thing. Like
Yeah. But
I
what I'm
don't
saying is that's what's giving me hope is that people stopped ripping on Nick Cannon for a little bit when that show, when Wild 'N Out stopped, and then now they're like, oh shit, this is like we can wild out on Twitter. We
he
can wild
opened it
out on
back up for himself.
Yeah, he's like we can wild out on Facebook. Like also like in addition to Mariah leaving him, he is also a racist. Like it's like
He
it's
fucked up, man.
dude like
But-
that gave me hope because that
What are you gonna do?
well, no, but I mean that just shows me that while like you said, it's probably like that. And thinking about it now, like that makes me realize that like the black community is pretty much not behind him when he says
Dude.
that. You know, like
Listen, that's what happens a lot of the time too, where it's like, how the fuck do these people all of a sudden get decided on as the spokesperson
Yeah.
for an entire race? I feel like that happens to black people more than anybody else,
Mhm.
where all of a sudden this guy is black people's opinion, and it's like
yeah,
nobody. Tupac used to say all the time, where it's like, "Yo, we're in the hood and we're not happy about it.
yeah,
We're scared of the gangster shit happening here. Nobody is bulletproof
yeah.
because you're black." So it's like, to me, I don't get how all of a sudden this guy's a spokesperson, that guy's a spokesperson, this lady, that lady. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaks for Latin women now. Like, no, man,
I've
people
never
are
thought
individuals. There's nobody who
I haven't heard
nobody's
that.
a monolith. What's
I
that?
haven't
I've heard
heard.
a few people who are like younger Latinas say like, "Oh, she's for us." Even like people
Oh.
I know who are like, "Oh, she's for
Oh,
young
that's-
women," and it's like, no, she's not. She's
No,
for
that's- yeah,
furthering
that's-
her career. Like
That's
what everybody's
fringe
doing.
stuff.
My grandfather used to say.
I need to take some mushrooms and finish that video I made.
My grandfather used to say, "Nobody gets up in the morning and puts their pants on for you.
Yeah,
Nobody. You're the only one in the morning that gets up and gets your pants and puts them on
Oh.
for you. Nobody else does that for you. Nobody's waking up and starting their day for you. Maybe when you're a baby for your mother and your father, and that's it. But for every day, you got to get up for your fucking self." So, like, to me,
there's one cruise where I had a
all
butler.
of what's that?
So
One cruise
there's-
you had a butler.
I had a butler, and
He was
would put-
getting up for money, homie, not for you.
and he put my pants on for me. So
Well, again, not for you,
Yes.
for the money, for the greenback. So, like, again,
Yep.
it's one of those things
It's
where
the only
Nick
color that
Cannon
matters.
is not a spokesperson for the black community.
Yeah, I
Dr.
wasn't saying that
Farrakhan,
either.
Mr. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
All of a sudden, this shit gets conflated. It's like he's going to awaken this or he's going to. People fucking think what the fuck they want to think, man. At the end of the day, most people are
Yeah.
just normal. I go into Publix. There's a black lady buying fucking grapes. There's a white lady buying pears. There's a Chinese guy buying plums. It's all the same shit. Everybody
Chinese
wants to
guy's
fucking
not
eat
buying
dinner.
plums at the
First of all,
supermarket.
plums are delicious.
But he's not buying plums at the
Why
supermarket.
wouldn't an Asian guy buy plums?
He's buying plums at the Asian market or the.
Well, first of all, maybe
Or
he's
the-
like a third generation Asian,
or-
and
or-
his name is Henry, and he fucking,
Thanks,
you know what I'm
man.
saying? Like,
You ever watch what's that Indian comic? Russell Peters.
Russell Peters, he's
It's like
great.
Henry is not his name.
That's
What's
true,
your name?
right? That
Michael?
works.
And your name? Karen? Those aren't their fucking names. What's your name?
Well,
Chew
yeah.
Lai boy?
Yeah,
Tap
yeah,
some
yeah.
bong? Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, man, like everybody has the same needs. Everybody has the same wants. We get separated by these slogans all the time, and we allow ourselves to be caught up and captivated by these ideas that we are in such opposition. Man, I got a block full of people who are all nice, and I guarantee you, we all think some different shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So at the end of the day,
That's like what this
we all want our
podcast is
kids
about.
to go to school. Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's like you said, it was good we had a little slight disagreement because it's like we're still great buddies.
Yeah.
And we love each other, and
Hell
we're
yeah,
happy
man.
to be talking to each other every day that we get to. So it's like I think the social media has created a syndrome like when you're in a car. People get all hyped up in their car and they think that they're invincible, and they'll yell and scream and do things they wouldn't do standing next to you.
Actually,
And I think that happens so much on social media where we don't treat each other like human beings because we're relating in this way that's so impersonal. We're fucking sending texts back and forth to each other. Where if you stood in a room with each other and you looked at each other and you realized we all need to breathe air, we all want to love the people we want to love. Like that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. We're all just fucking people. And that when you told me the other day that I'm like the most center person you've met, I took it as such a high compliment because at the end of the day, man, like I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of different things. You know, I've created cool stuff. I've written music. I spent a big chunk of my life trying to punch people in the face. At the end of the day, everybody that I met in those circumstances, they all just want to be loved. They all want to be safe. They all want to be okay. They all want to be happy. They all may have different ideas of what that is, but nobody really that I've ever met wants to hurt other people to get to where those things are for them. So I see us all as confused about where we stand more than in opposition.
So I
think rhetoric is a big culprit.
Yeah, I have insight into that when you were saying
Please.
social media.
Yeah.
So, I actually watched, like, you know, the Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, the dude that used to be on the Young Turks, and he was like, these guys are fucking crazy. I'm gonna go do my own thing. Still liberal.
Do you
still
know
very
Dave
left-wing.
Smith? Do you know Dave Smith from Legion of Skanks?
No, I don't.
I've got to turn you on to him. You'll love him.
So he does this thing where he goes off. He does like a social media cleanse for 30 days. And
smart. I should do that.
Yeah, man. That was his podcast today was about that. And he actually, there's like social media psychological professors now. That's how like much of a part of our lives it is.
Okay.
And that guy was saying why people like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube point you towards what they think. They point you towards the rhetoric that you think you will like.
Yes,
right?
Yes. They create an echo chamber.
Yeah, they divide. Yeah, they specifically push the divide farther.
I agree.
So people that were together on Facebook as friends and stuff, they might have clicked this guy may have clicked something right here.
Yeah.
And then the whole social media algorithm pushed him way over here, and this guy clicked on one thing. It's and the professor was saying like the algorithms are so precise now that like you can click on one thing, and it'll just start shooting ridiculous amount of rhetoric to push you. And then these guys know each other in real life, and they'll just they click on these one things. They don't post the one thing that's kind of, you know, that everybody can agree on. They get pushed over here and they post these things, right? And then that causes a rift with them in social media.
It's not a lot of money in unity.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
Not a lot of money. Not a lot of money in everybody looking out for each other. You know what I mean? So.
And I think people are looking for that. And Tim Pool talked about this on his not last, because he does like a million videos a week, on something he did a couple days ago where he thinks more people, like you said, more people are like us, right? More people are just
most people would get along in person.
Yes,
You know what I mean? So
and they're looking for that. And Tim Pool is like the most that. The most like I don't like Republicans, but now I don't like Democrats anymore. You know, like he's just like everybody. He's like I just like like you said, man.
Shit.
Yeah, man. And what I love about him and what he says he thinks people like is that it doesn't matter who is full of shit. He's going to post and make a video that they're full of shit. He talks about the algorithm. He's like, if you're only seeing videos by me where I talk about, you know, left-wing crazy people, just go to my page and click on the videos because I talk about everybody. And then when you do that, you're like, oh yeah, he doesn't like people from either side. Like,
well, it's like very clear to see.
Super centrist.
Rogan's had a couple people who were from like Twitter on his show before and stuff like that, and it was very, very easy to see. There's like a clear-cut narrative. There's no
The specific Tim Pool versus the Twitter people.
Yeah, that was one. And then he had other people on from different social media sites before, I believe, too. But to me, it was. I mean, again, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just lucky. What the fuck happened to Nuance? You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
These
It's like
people
Tim Pool's main thing. Yeah.
are so staunch,
Insane.
and so everything is so diametric, and it has to be so.
Yeah.
Like, there's no unity anymore. There's no ability to be like, no, it's okay. Like, we're everything. Like, there's no ability to be like, well, you think that, but it doesn't hurt me for you to think that. So
Yeah.
whatever. To me, that's why I always consider myself to be left-leaning, because growing up, that was always the mentality that was at least portrayed prior to maybe like 2012, 2008,
Yeah.
where the left was really more about like freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be gay, smoke weed, fucking peace, love, and you know what I'm saying?
Now they're like,
And,
you have to be gay. Like, you have
yeah,
to smoke
now
weed.
now it's like this also this
Yeah.
thing too of like,
And now it's weird that
there's
the
this
Republicans are like,
over-categorization of things.
no, you can do that. Just I don't want to be gay.
But
Like,
there's
kind
this
of thing.
over-category. Well, again, it depends on where you are, man. Because I'm in the Bible Belt. There's a lot more staunchness out here. You know what I mean? Like I see.
I'm talking about the
degrees.
social media presence of both sides. I see the crazy right, but the volume of the crazy right is lower, and it's not because there's less of them. It goes back to what I was saying.
There's also a difference in the culture, man. The crazy right, they're not
internet people.
Right. They're not.
Yeah.
And they're also not. Crazy right anymore is not, I'm gonna get you fired.
Yeah.
It's more now like
the crazy right's
stockpile,
honestly more like Alex Jones was right. The left wings are lizard people.
Digging a bunker,
Yeah.
ordering like pounds of that grain.
Yeah.
And the also the right, they're not on the internet. They have billboards on I-75 going through southern Georgia and northern Florida of
talking about
zombies
abortion
that say that you're gonna, that the end is no, not even just abortions,
damn.
which there those are out there too.
Yeah.
There are literal fucking billboards, and my wife and I we die every time, of literal zombies and signs like saying that the end is coming soon. You know, you got to repent because soon the Lord, and that also that Trump. We're lucky Trump is the one holding the reins for the end times, because
God bless
like,
Donald Trump.
There's literally like a half a dozen of those fucking billboards between Atlanta and fucking and between West Palm Beach, where it's
but
like
the thing is,
it's clearly fringe shit. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, like that's everywhere. I remember growing up and traveling all over the country. Right, those billboards had been there since like the 50s. It's the same group. The same small fringe group that isn't growing, right? They're not really growing.
I don't know
everybody
about any groups numbers.
Well, I mean it's just like they were always the group where like even like the conservative people are just like, I mean, don't listen to them. Those are the crazy people, you know, like.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that's the same.
But now that's like now there's that kind of thing where like. Now the fringe left is like defacing that stuff and defacing property, and also, this is what I was trying to tell somebody.
The thing that makes me less worried about the left though is how they keep eating themselves. They keep cannibalizing themselves.
This is the only worrisome thing for me. I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine when he's like, I can only find articles about how Antifa is good, right? And I was like, oh yeah, no, that's because like the people in Antifa also work at Facebook, Google, YouTube, Instagram.
Right. You know, there's a higher saturation of with that particular ideology.
That's the problem I have with the farther left and extreme left is that those are the people that run the social media platforms that 100% of America uses, right? So that's why I don't like that. Like the whole thing, I made a rant about it. The doctors that did that hydroxychloroquine is 100% cure, which is false. It's not 100% cure, right? However, they pointed to a doctor who is a epidemiologist and like the head epidemiologist at the Yale School of Medicine, right? They pointed to his article who says it is not a 100% cure, but it does really well if you use it early, right? He didn't even say it's 100%. And he even says in his article and his peer-reviewed piece that's in the medical
Is that
journal.
the French guy with the long hair?
No, it's an Asian guy.
Okay.
But
I trust him more than.
yeah, no, for real. As soon as I saw his picture, I was like, that's an old
guy.
Thai guy.
Because there was a
Yeah.
study that they were talking about that had some like decent results, but it was small.
Yeah.
This French guy did it, and it was like
That's
I
what
don't know if I trust a French scientist.
that's what the crazy Haitian doctor lady was talking about too.
Mm-hmm.
But so here's the thing.
She was from Houston, right?
It was on all the social media platforms for about an hour before it was all taken down. Like it was banned from the major.
We're going to talk about this Monday too, but I'm so interested in how, and this I literally again, I check myself for like living in a bubble. You know what I mean? Because I'm not like a super internet person or whatever. Like
yeah. And I live here.
Right, you're in that world deep.
No, I live
posted
here.
a meme. JoJo posted a meme.
I live here. No,
Um,
I am
JoJo
Pixels.
Yeah, I just come for the tits. But no, JoJo posted a meme that you know how they can fact check so much and they can do all that and they can't get all the kiddie porn off the internet.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, wow, well, that one made a lot of sense to me. Like
Exactly. Another thing about the fact checking that I don't understand is like, especially Facebook's fact checker. An American scientist can do research and make a statement based on their research, and you can share that article on Facebook, and Facebook will be like, this is factually inaccurate. And it's like, find out why. Click here. So I click there every time. And then it takes me to an article on why it's factually inaccurate. And the way
I've seen a graph. Show me a graph as to the percentage of accuracy in the thing.
But I read the whole thing of why they think it's factually inaccurate, right?
So it's like an editorialized
Yes,
fact check?
exactly. And then they're like, look up and then at the bottom it's like, this is the researcher that found out it was false. And it's like some
Lefty Leftington?
No, not even that. It's some like guy in France who is a journalist, not a
scientist.
Not a scientist. Yeah. And I'm just like, how is this fact checking? You know?
Right.
And it's real weird, like, because I
Fucking
commented on.
opinion-based fact checks.
You know what's really strange though? It makes me think that like I'm tapped for opinions of shit, not in a good way. But it's like, leave your comment on like how you think this was accurate or not. And I broke it down. I'm like, this is an editorial. This person doesn't think it's true. They didn't prove that it wasn't true. And
Right,
this
they
person
didn't conduct a study.
Yeah, this person is not a scientist. This person is a journalist, a foreign journalist, disputing an American study done in America for Americans by Americans. And then all of a sudden, the next, like, this is false. Click here to see why. It had click here to see Facebook's thing, which was that guy again, right? And then it was but it gave me two options. The next one down, right after I put in my comment and reasoning why I didn't trust the fact checking. Immediately after that, the next one I had two options. I could click on PolitiFacts one, which is the American, like a fact checking thing, or I could click on this French guy's thing that Facebook hired to do this. Like, it was immediate. Like, it wasn't like, oh, a couple days later. Like, I was still scrolling, and you know what's funny? Both of them were JoJo's posts. And I was like, what the fuck? This is a meme. Like, they were on memes.
He posted, I can't wait to talk to him on Monday. He posted a picture, I don't know who it is, I don't know if it's true, I don't know if it's Photoshop, of Chuck Schumer making out with a kid.
Oh. I don't know. He actually did another thing. He posted another thing too. Like, you think
I cannot wait to talk to him on Monday. Seriously, like,
yeah. I'm excited. Like, one of my other things that I really liked, and I don't know if I shared it. It was like, you think CNN and CNBC and all these people don't use Photoshop? No, they don't use video editor. You think they don't use that shit too? I was like, yeah.
Simple programs.
Yeah.
Like that,
And then like he even showed a photo of like a white guy being held down. You could see his white arms, white legs, and he had a black head pasted on his body for police brutality. And he was like, good job, CNN. and it's just like circles and big arrows pointing to that.
Listen, dude.
I'm excited to see what my buddy tomorrow, like, cause
Yeah.
he is like, no, like this stuff is fake. Like he was like, this stuff is fake, and this is why you should be like, he's like super support Black Lives Matter, and like all that stuff too. And I know like
You a white dude?
yeah. I told like I love this guy, like,
I'm always
He's-
interested to talk to people like that too.
but
because,
he's like he's got the hair and the beard
but
of a homeless
how,
man.
What what Alonzo and I were talking about, where you
Yeah.
get like a weird brown pass from certain people when you're ethnic enough for their liking that you can have
Yeah.
a differing opinion and not catch a blowback. That's always strange to me. So I'm very curious about that.
He doesn't do that. His whole thing is, and it's not even like if you're with us, you're against us. He's just like, no, man, like I just disagree with you. Like he
Well, so it
he
sounds
doesn't.
like a rational person. At least.
Yeah, I mean, like we
Not
get
like
into
even liberals get the bullet.
yeah, like we
Fucking shit.
yeah we get into irrational typing, and that was like a more recent thing with him too. Like
Mhm.
him and I like have gotten into
Again,
it more.
we were just talking about it though.
Yeah.
When it's in text, it doesn't
But that
doesn't carry the same way.
but he knows me very well because like
Even
I've
still,
told
man.
you. No, I mean, like, this is why I know, like, he watched. No, this is. Even though we've typed at each other like that, he's
Mhm.
still not like, fuck you, we're not friends, you know?
Right. You
Like-
just had vehement disagreement.
Exactly. And that was the whole reason.
You know,
too.
I've been the one in the past to be the fuck you, we're not friends, and
Yeah.
then later recognize that it was a mistake to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah. But, like,
You know, you gotta be allowed to grow. It goes back to the Nick Cannon thing.
and, like, and what really reinforced that for me is when, like, I put up my rant about how both sides were fucking stupid about that video that was banned all over the social media, and he was like, that was a really great objective outside look, and that's why like he's like, now I'm like reaching out to me about doing a podcast, and he's
Right
like,
on.
I know, and it was like, it's the greatest thing. I kind of want to pull it up because it's like, I know we disagree about stuff, like we have different views on things, but I think we could like have a really good like really good conversations, and I'm like, fuck yeah, man, let's
I mean,
fucking
that's-
do it. That's what it's
We're
about.
trying to do here.
Yeah, man, that's what it's about.
I want to learn from people. That's why I was saying I'm dying to have somebody from the LGBTQ community come on and like express their feelings about this push toward normalization of heteronormativism or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
Because I would be furious if I was gay to have that lumped in with my sexuality. You know, and also again, it's the same thing that happens with black people in the black community, that they get lumped into a monolith.
Mm-hmm.
All gay people, lesbian people, queer people, they don't all fucking feel the same.
No,
way.
they're
They don't feel the same way.
individuals. They're people.
Yeah.
And
I
that's.
hate that everybody gets lumped into these groups. Like, I hate
Let me ask you this.
being called a Latino or a Hispanic.
Let me
know what
ask
I
you
mean?
this. How many transsexual people do you know?
I can't say that.
I know
no,
I know like a handful of them, and you know
I
what?
know a couple people. I don't know them now, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I know some people that I went to school with who transitioned. I know some people who flirted with it.
Yeah.
I know of one or two people who I
Here's
could
why
say
I
that-
asked you that.
that are trans, but not anybody that I actually like hang out with regularly. Which not that I wouldn't. They're not around. Not in my
Yeah,
area.
I haven't hung out with my trans friends as much as I should, like because of the whole coronavirus thing and having a kid.
Mhm.
Before that, like they'd be like, "Hey man, you gonna be out?" I'm like, got a baby," and they're like, "Oh fuck, I always forget you got a kid." I'm like, "Yeah, that's
Mhm.
whatever," and they're like, "Oh, I mean, whenever you got free time."
But no, I
I'm
don't
like,
know
yeah.
many. I don't know many
So-
trans people.
So like I know like a handful of trans
There's
people.
not a lot of trans people in the jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
kickboxing,
I
boxing
actually
world
want
either,
to try
you
to
know?
reach out to some of them, see if they want to be on the show. They're not. They don't.
I want
want
to get somebody
to.
on the show
They're
who's
not
who's
very.
gay.
They're not very. So when I have conversations with them, they're like, "I can only talk about this shit with you," and I'm like, "You should voice your opinion more." And
Yeah.
what I hear a lot is like the crazy. Like if you don't want to date a trans person, you're transphobic people. They're like, that doesn't represent like
No, I
90% of
would
us.
not imagine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That goes.
But
right
no,
back to the
it's
Cannon thing, dude.
it's even worse than it's even more than the Nick Cannon thing. It's like they're like it's like that person and the other 5 people you see on the internet that say that, and then
Sure.
like the people that aren't trans that are like white knighting for trans people
But again, man,
that think
trans
that.
people, the operative terminology there is people, man. Like,
Yes. No, that's the
they
thing.
just want to
That's
have a tasty
literally
dinner that they like, and they
Mhm.
want to have somebody that loves them, and they
That's
want to have a pet that they enjoy,
literally
and a job that they
exactly.
enjoy. Like, they're just people.
That's
That's the
literally
thing.
all
We're
of
losing
the
that.
and
We're starting to put the label, the fucking suffix or prefix, whatever, before the people. Like,
yes.
we're all just fucking people, man. We all just want to be happy.
Like there's
We
this
all
one
just wanna
trans
be
girl
happy.
I know, she's like very hot, right? Like she's like, yeah.
Sure.
She's like, I specifically like have to turn guys down because I'm like, yeah, if they found out I had a dick, they would beat me
It
up
would
right
get
there.
weird.
No,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
would like
yeah.
beat me up right there, and I'm like,
That's
yeah,
scary.
yeah. So like,
That's
but
scary.
they're
That's not
like,
cool.
I don't understand, like the it's ma'am guy, right? You remember that guy?
Right.
They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that guy is a fucking piece of shit. They're like, he had a 5 o'clock shadow. This trans girl was telling me, she's like, listen, I want people to understand that I'm a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like call me, they're gonna call me ma'am because I look like a ma'am, and like if somebody calls me like sir, like I realized that I didn't work on
And
myself
again,
enough that
listen,
day or
like
whatever.
that guy, that it's ma'am guy, right?
That,
So like everybody has a fucked up day,
yeah.
right? I'm not gonna judge a person based on
No,
one
that guy
video.
went on the
I
internet and defended
also,
him his bullshit. So
yeah, I think I saw it on Tosh
yeah.
or something. I also, um, it's one of those things, man, where it's like I don't sleep in nobody else's skin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how hard that fucker's day was that day, or maybe and it's another thing too, man. Like if you're a trans person, and you really are that way deep in your heart, and you feel
Yeah.
that way, and you're not pretty. That's
Well,
you
no,
know what I mean? Like
this
that's hard too.
she was ugly dude, an ugly dude. Not like
Well,
like so ugly that it was a woman. No, like I've seen her as a he, and I was like, bah, how did that happen? And it's like,
I think my red headphones did.
oh, it
My,
was
my
like
red,
through, and she's like, it's like I really feel this way, so I did everything I could. And the other thing that she was telling me, and a lot of our friends uh, say, is like the whole Zer thing. They're like, that's dumb.
right.
Like, why? Like, no, like I present myself as a woman because I want you to treat me like a woman. And then like my one trans man guy is like, I want to be treated like a man. Like I dress this way, I act this
Yeah.
way. Like I don't want to I don't want to fully transition, but this is who I am, like I don't want to like mutilate, like, and that's the other thing too, like a lot of people that like support like fake support those like five trans people on the internet that are like, if you don't like trans people, if you don't want to date a trans person, you're transphobic. They don't understand, like, it's a crazy psychological roller coaster that these people are going through too, and like
Yeah.
it's you can't I the best thing that I say is like, I can only speak to what my trans friends have said. I still can't even begin to fathom like what they're going through, and
Right.
like
That's the thing I always say, man.
it's crazy, man.
I even somebody who has any kind of issue with their body. I'm fat, okay,
Yeah.
but I like being me. Like I'm good in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
so
But they weren't okay with themselves, and they've
well,
taken drastic measures.
and
And
that's what I'm saying. I can't begin
hmm
to fathom how difficult your life must be if you are unhappy with what you are. And
yeah,
I I I, I don't want to try and make that call or narrate that for anybody who's going through it, because man,
you know,
that's got to be a
hmm
fucking super struggle, man. Like
and some comedian was just talking about this in regards to. Oh no, it wasn't a comedian. It was a guy on TikTok. He's actually very insightful, a
mhm.
very centrist dude. I fucking love Papa Gut or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, the bearded guy.
Yeah, dude, he was talking about like how women that have gone through like a rape or like a trauma, sexual assault,
Hmm.
that share it on social media and then like shame men at the same time, he's like,
Hmm.
most people that have gone through like a sexual assault trauma don't display it out for the world to see, you know?
Or it takes them a long time to get
And
comfortable enough to
yeah,
do
and
so.
if
Yeah.
you do are if you are doing that, that's a part of your sexual trauma
So
that you're
I
going to
know
look
somebody.
back later on, and that's going to be a part of your trauma still, that
Sure.
you put it out for the world to see, and maybe later now
Sure.
like you
Sure.
that's
Sure.
not a thing. And that's what I hear with
So
a lot of trans people. They're like, those trans people that do that, they're either going to like kill themselves or go back to being whatever they were before, because
sure.
now they're
I've
now
heard
in
that too. Yeah.
yeah, now in addition to going through the regular psychological rigors of
Well,
being a trans person,
you can even
they're
take trans out
adding
of it.
that. Well, I mean, yeah, they're adding that to
Yeah.
their
But you can
the
even take
weight.
trans out of it and just look at like somebody who's gone through any hard thing, man.
Yeah.
Anything that shakes you. You know what I mean? Shakes you,
Mhm.
makes you question who you are, what you are, whatever. I know somebody. I know people who have been, um, molested or whatever as a child,
Yeah.
and they don't want to discuss it.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
not.
mean? They don't want to out the person that did it.
Mhm.
They don't want to. I come from a big family. I know somebody who was a perpetrator and who was a victim,
Yeah.
and they still attend family dinners and shit together. And it's one of those things where it's like I don't associate with those people
Yeah.
based on that knowledge. I don't know how I would react. I haven't seen this person in a long time. I don't know how I would react if I did.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think I might react very violently. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a reactionary person sometimes,
Mhm.
and so I don't put myself in that situation. Especially as a dad, like I have a responsibility to make sure that I make good choices. I make that choice, right?
Mhm.
But one of these people who was a victim of this person, they sit down at family functions, they sit down at dinners, they sit down. I don't pretend to understand it. I
Yeah.
don't pretend to understand the psychology, the dynamic of it. And these are two people who are very, very close to me at one point in life, right? So, and there's other members of the family who have no fucking idea. And they're as equally close to these individuals as I was, both as far as lineage, literal, like
Yeah.
blood,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and also like socially, whatever.
Yeah.
So like, it's not my right to out the victim.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? As much as
Yeah.
I want to out the offender,
Yeah.
and I've asked the
Yeah.
people that I know who have been victimized if what they want, and they don't want to do anything about it. They don't
No.
want to
No.
do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
And that's their thing.
it's not my
Yeah.
fucking thing to deal with, and it's a difficult.
Which is yeah.
You know what I
Which
mean?
is why when like
And I know people who are victims of this person who do not associate anymore, do not,
Yeah.
just like I don't, but they also don't want to
Mhm.
bring it back up, drudge it back up. Because I've had thoughts where
And
it's like,
this
oh,
is-
we should
Yeah.
put this person's picture on a flyer in their community and put
Let
what
them
they are
know.
on it. And
Yeah.
but I'm not going to do that and out these people who
Yeah.
don't want to revisit that
Mhm.
fucking trauma. I cannot imagine.
And-
That's why when they talk about how few rapes and stuff are reported, it's like, yeah, probably, man, probably. I mean, it's one of
However-
those things. I don't go with that believe all people shit, but
Mhm.
it's one of those things too where
Yeah.
it's like, man, a lot of people get fucked with, dude, especially when they're kids, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Mhm.
like a goddamn hawk when it comes to my kid because
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't trust nobody. That just by virtue of that experience, knowing that somebody who I trusted and admired so much could be capable of such a horrific thing. I'm like, when my wife's like, "Oh, we're gonna let her sleep over at a friend's house," and it's people we love and enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm still like,
Yeah.
We'll do a family sleepover. Everybody can come
Yeah.
over here. Everybody can go over there. That's
Yeah.
what the fuck we do. We do that with couples and
Mhm.
family friends because I'm not big on that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm the parent who's like, bring them all over here. Bring
Yeah.
them all the fuck over here.
Yes.
Because guess what, man? I have a beautiful little daughter, and the world is awful and ugly, and people are the worst. We're the worst
Yeah.
apes because we rationalize away all our evil ape shit.
One
You
of
know
the
what I mean?
one of the girls that I used to work with at Guitar Center, was like 4'11", and like this cute little girl, right? And she's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I've always been small. There was this one time because she grew up in Miami. She's like, there's this one time I was in the mall, and this guy just grabbed my hand and we started walking away. And then before we got to the door, these policemen came and picked him up and then took me back to my parents. I didn't know that I was gonna just be gone forever. Like, was just like, oh shit, like they'll just do that to your kid, like just take them right there in front of you in the mall. Like, holy crap,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man.
Dude, like, I remember as a little boy, we lived across the street from the Hollywood Mall. That was the mall that Adam Walsh was abducted from. And we had like a specific perimeter that we were allowed to like be out and about in our neighborhood. And one of the lines was the alley before the mall. We couldn't go into the mall without permission, but we fucking did anyway. Like, we were little asshole kids on bikes. And my brother and I would scrimp together $3.50, and we would go to Rite Aid or Woolworths, and we would get a joke kit. And the reason we would get this is because it would come with like 4 or 5 different things.
Yeah.
So we would each get a couple of things, like a coin that'll stick to the ground, a whoopee cushion, itching powder, a fake eyeball, whatever. And we would gather up a couple of bucks. And this time, I actually think we were going for like Halloween masks.
Yeah.
We had like gathered like $8 or $10 each. Big day. And we're pulling up to the mall on our bikes. We lock our bikes in the bike rack, and we're walking up to the mall. And it was a Publix, a Rite Aid, some other kind of shop that I can't remember what it was. It might have changed. Might have been like a liquor store at one point, something else. And then the Hollywood Mall. And we were going into the mall because that's where Woolworths were, and they had like more Halloween costume shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, come on, Warren. I'm talking to my brother. He's smaller than me. I'm telling him to catch up kind of shit. And an older dude puts his hand on my brother's shoulder, and he goes, your name's Warren? I got an uncle named Warren. Why, he's so smart. He's so smart I can't even tell you what he does. And just starts walking my brother the fuck away. Just starts walking him away from me. And like going the other direction, like toward the parking lot. And I froze for like a split second and didn't know what the fuck to do. And then I just was like, again, I'm like a bit of a reactionary person.
Yeah.
I was just like, ah! And I grabbed my brother and fucking we started running.
Ah!
Just dragging him along. And we got to Woolworths, and I got to the cash register, and I go to the lady, this guy's trying to grab my brother. He's trying to steal us. Can I call my mom? Can I call my mom? Can I call the police? And the lady was like, what the fuck? And I still know my fucking number for that house. Fucking 987-5946. And I called my mom, and she's like, Andrew? And I'm like, Mom, we're at Woolworths at the mall. A guy tried to grab Warren. And she's like, why the fuck are you at the mall? Like,
yeah.
And she hangs up. The lady also called the cop that was in the mall. He comes over. They ask us what the guy looks like. My mom gets there, like, in house cleaning clothes. She's like cleaning our house, and she's like, what the fuck? And like, I'm like, telling her what happened. She's like, why were you here? And I'm like, we came here for masks.
Yeah.
And she was like super furious, and she talked to the cop, and the cop talked to us. The cop was like, you shouldn't come over here alone, kind of thing. And then I remember we're walking out of Woolworths, and I'm like, Mom? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, can we still go get those masks? And she's like, I think she like shorted out.
Yeah.
She's like, yes, Andrew, go get the masks. Like, hold your brother's hand. Like, it was one of those like fucking days, and I was just being a goofy ass kid. So like, but
a crazy thing about like child abduction is that in China, it's so common. Like, I've actually been watching these videos that like from kindergarten up, like they teach you how to not get, like, if somebody is kidnapping you, there's this dope leg lock that like only small children can do on adults that immobilizes them.
That's wild.
It's crazy. Like, unless you
is
have...
it like a heel hook? What is it?
No, like, you do like a figure 8, like, you wrap your legs around their one foot.
It's called reaping the leg.
Yeah, and then you wrap your arms around their other leg, and they can't, like, they can't pick you up because your legs aren't designed to, like, you can't...
Yeah, but if you have... if
I mean, the problem is, it's like, no, like they're demonstrating it like big dudes. Like, and they're like, okay, do the lock.
Have to see it.
Like,
I'd have to see it to give it like a real honest assessment.
It's real weird because they're like,
man, there's some shit people fucking try and sell you when it comes to defense, and it's like, oh, you try that, and then someone blasts you in the face with their fist.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they're susceptible for that. But like the whole thing is like, it's not just them, but like parents are and like the people in the town are educated to see.
It's so interesting how
if they see a kid doing that, like the community, they're like, oh shit, that adult's not supposed to be around that kid.
Well, it's interesting to me too, because like culturally how that differs, because like supposedly in Japan, kids who are like 5 years old walk to school. It's like very common for kids to be very independent.
Well,
by
that's
that
because
age.
Japan is super safe for an. So the same way I described that generation now that's super
Mhm.
centrist and super logical and factual. That is how all of Japan is, right?
Right.
And they went from being
They're pretty
considered the most.
nationalist too. In a
Yeah,
good way,
yeah,
I feel like,
exactly.
yeah.
Like they went from being considered by like the left people to be like the most free place. Like when we were like left wing, I would say, right? Like Japan was
Hmm.
like freedom, right? Whatever. And now they have changed nothing since then, since like
Hmm.
the 90s, right? Culturally, politically, nationally.
Hmm.
And now they're considered like a super
A
right wing,
staunch right wing
yeah,
place. Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
very conservative place.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it's interesting
they're
too
just
because like
super
you're right. They have maintained like they've always been in support of Israel. There's always been a lot of different things that Japan has like been pretty stalwart about over the
Yeah.
last like 20,
You can
25
like do
years.
like once you're vetted into there,
Mhm.
you're basic like you can do whatever, man. Like you're good. As long as you follow the law. And the
Right.
laws aren't crazy there. They actually have less laws than we
No.
do. And
No,
when
the only ones that they have that are a little crazy are like gun stuff and weed stuff.
yeah, yeah, but they can still
But again,
carry
by virtue of
blades.
being
They can still carry
yeah,
large blades, like
yeah.
that's another crazy thing. It's just
I mean, if
but
I
I
was living
mean,
in Japan, I'd be rocking some nunchaku, man.
oh yeah, man. I mean, you don't need to. You have you been to Japan? Like
Well,
like
when
a
I was
large
younger for
city?
competition, but never. We were in
So
Saitama, but
it was still quiet though, right?
pretty quiet. But we were at the arena most of the time. You know what I mean?
But
Like we were at the Superdome.
even
So
then, that was quiet for like a big place.
compared to other big cities, yeah,
Yes, that's what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
And we
Go to
were
Tokyo and
also.
at lunchtime. Go to Tokyo at lunchtime.
But again, they're
It's
so much more homogenous than
real
America is.
weird.
It's so
Yeah.
much more of like. It's so much more of a. I don't understand. Like the culture is so alien in comparison to American culture. Like if there was an edict to be like everybody's got to stay inside, everybody's got to wear a mask. Like they're
Yeah.
down following that shit. Like
They
here
didn't
we're
do
like,
that.
fuck you guys. But
It's
the government
another
didn't tell
funny
them to be
thing
there.
that now that you say that too. The other funny thing is they're like, oh, everybody else is wearing a mask too. Yeah, we just wear a mask for like they just wear masks because. And actually, here's the other
It's
thing.
more polite to keep your germs to yourself in that culture. I
Yeah,
believe,
it's
is what-
polite thing, but I don't know. Like they do. There's so much international business that comes through China that they get like
all kind of
overflow
strains
from.
of shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And China's like a breeding ground for like
You know,
shit that shouldn't happen, and they get a lot
somebody
of
I
people
want to.
from India too.
Well, somebody I want to have on the show is one of my is my
You're
old English
yeah, the
teacher.
the guy that lives in Korea.
And he lives in
Yeah.
Korea currently. And I called him when this all began just to say, hey, how you doing? Is everybody okay? Are you, because Korea was hit pretty bad initially, I believe.
Yeah,
And he was like,
not
oh,
comparatively now. Yeah,
well, what he said, he was like, oh, it's pretty common here
for that
for
to
there
happen.
to be a strain of bad flu going around. People wear masks. For a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. That's
Like, so he was like, he was very like, and he's one of the most well-traveled,
I would love to
genius
talk to
people.
him.
I'm gonna contact him soon to have him on because
yeah.
I've got a couple other people that I've already talked to that I'm gonna try and get first. But
I mean-
he might be good for like a 20th episode or 50th episode or something like that.
Yeah.
Because he is a literal genius. He's the first
I was
person
thinking you
that
had,
taught me you could be masculine and intellectual simultaneously.
yes. I
And
was
so
thinking
like I really appreciate that.
you
guy
had an
deeply.
idea for the episode when you came back. Maybe he should be the episode for when you come back from your trip.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's great. Let me see if the other one that I've talked to, because
Yeah.
I've already reached out to somebody,
Mhm.
but we'll see what what
Yeah, I know
happens
you
there.
were
But
saying.
he what broke it down very casually, like yeah, well, they're a lot more used to that out here in
Yeah.
general. But he's a guy who he's part Indian, part Tanzanian. He's lived in so many places. He went to school various places. He's taught in so many places. He to me is what an educator should be. He's a
Yes.
real Indiana Jones of a dude. Not that he's going through ancient temples and stealing idols, but he's a traveled, experienced, seasoned man who lives. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Who's going to have the drinks in the market and learn about the place at the ground level, and he also can convey that in the way that he educates. His name's Terrence Oliga. I love that guy so much. Like I said, when he comes to Atlanta, we always get together. His mom lives a couple hours away from Atlanta, and we always get together and eat and talk and
You say he's a black guy
have a
too,
great
right?
time. Yeah, he's part Indian, part African. Yeah,
Yeah.
And again, he grew up in where we've talked about this before too, where his parents. It was an era where mixing culture like that was not easy. You know what I mean? And he grew up in places where, and again, he has had such a wealth of varied experience living in all the places that he's lived, and again, nothing beats life for education.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Me and my wife talk about it all the time. We want to give our daughter experiences, not things. And I get a little bogged down with the things sometimes because I grew up a little bit of a poor kid. So I want, we're buying a whole fucking Lego aisle, like, you know what I mean? Like, because I never had one. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. I never could. So I almost like indulge myself through my kids sometimes. So I have to check that. And luckily, my wife and I usually create a good balance, and she checks me on that, and I check her on like, hey, you're looking at the computer when you should be looking at the kid. You know what I mean? So she's more of a hard worker than I am. I'm more of a hard player than she is, and we both balance up. But again, it's one of those things where it's all culture, it's all understanding, it's all developing an awareness of the fucking world.
So Casey, his phone is now charged. He was just saying his phone died.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and he's like,
it's super late.
Yeah, and it's late.
Casey, we were about to end it, I think, but
no. But he was like, yeah, he's gotta go to sleep.
Yeah. Well,
same.
What do you call? We'll exchange his information later, Mike, when we talk. Let's power down and just stand on the line, you and me, for a minute, and hash over tomorrow a little bit. But
all right.
Thanks to everybody for joining us who came out and saw us tonight. Thanks to Casey for joining us and showing us that the American dream is still alive and well.
Woo.
And
shirts.
Yeah, check out our Patreon. Check out our shirts. We're going to be having more shirt designs come out before the end of this year. And we are going to be having so many more shows this week. We're going to be having our steady flow to follow next week. Hunker down with us for this tropical depression that nobody in Florida cares about, and enjoy some podcasts.
I don't
with us
even
this
think
week.
It says depression anymore.
Is it just it's like rain now?
Thunder. You will see thunder.
Yeah.
Stock up though.
Yeah, bring an umbrella to the beach. Fucking.
All right.
Thank you all. All 7 of you, whoever many.